Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective. Today's July 24th, and we're still in the epidemic, man. Pandemic, epidemic is all the same shit. Guys, we're getting by this, but we're kind of regressing at the same time because of foolishness, because of the protests, because of everything else. I hate to say it, but most of y'all need to stay your asses home, chill out. Let's let this pass. I think we're on the upside. I think we're doing better. But it definitely keeps getting ugly. But anyways, it hasn't stopped the podcast. We're in season 2 now. And I just got a huge array of people and guests that are going to be coming to the podcast that I've been verifying and confirming and talking to and reaching out to. And I'm very excited about it. But today, and I'm not going to say his last name. I know you guys hear me say it all the time when I try to pronounce people's names. I'm not going to say his last name because I feel like I'm going to kill it. But we got my good friend over here, Alex
Morlote.
Morlote. How you spell it again? M-O-R?
M-O-R-L-O-T-E.
All right, Alex, I'm going to have to ask you to speak into the mic a little bit so they can hear that Barry White in you, man.
That Barry White?
That Barry White in you. Alex, welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank
I appreciate you
very
coming
excited.
here.
Cheers, bro.
But yes, sir. It's Talu. And for the other you guys listening and those of you guys watching on YouTube and every other channel, I know you guys heard that syrup. Man,
delicious.
This man brought the Dalmore Cigar Melt Reserve. This is delicious.
That's delicious,
I can't
right?
tell
It's Friday, the end of the month.
My brother.
Getting ready to start another month.
You literally made my day with this.
Let's go.
Like, literally made my day with this. This is great. Anybody coming to the show, you don't have to bring anything, but if you do, I love good whiskey.
The standard has been set.
Yes, there you go. There you
Let
go.
it be known.
So, Alex, let's talk about really quick about how we ended up making this happen. You know, we don't know each other well at all. We just met about a week and a half ago. Basically, like I tell, you know, all guests and friends and people that I reach out to, and I mention it almost every other podcast, I'm always looking for some intriguing guests. I'm always looking for some unique people who would love to come on here and let me share their story, let me share their journey, let me share whatever it is that they're doing, attempting to do, might have gone through, something that they want to reach out to. I like to get all kind of people from different points of the world, different parts of their lives, what they're going through. And there's always a special group of people who exemplify unique stories that vary on topics. From fighters are definitely one of my favorites. It's just something that follows with fighters. If you're a fighter, you got there for some reason through some type of pain and suffering, some type of struggle, some type of, you're a special individual if you have the ability to be willing to get hurt as a sport and do it from a fighting standpoint. So those are great people. People in the
From
service.
that perspective, the human species is the only species that does it for sport and entertainment, that fights its own species for sports and entertainment. So when you see like deer and antelope and all that stuff butting heads with their horns and all that stuff, they do it for dominance, whereas we do it to entertain.
So with that, man, I love that you just went and said that. That's a great little did you know fact right there. Is that because we are intelligent enough? So in other words, is that one of those things that
I wonder how
kind of splits
really
us?
makes us
Is
to wanna
it right?
beat somebody's face
For entertainment.
for entertainment.
Now,
Now,
what
sure-
animals entertain themselves without the fighting? There are animals that do. I mean, I know that there's obviously mates. When you call for a mate, there's different animals that do crazy different. Bro, I just saw one on this bird, and I know these birds. They did. Dude, this bird cleared this patch of grass, and he went and got so much shit.
And it's a show that they put
He
on.
did tremendo salsa merengue. I don't know
Una
what.
muela.
And then his voice changed. It was you didn't even know he made these noises. He made the weirdest noise.
And they know. They know that somebody's out there.
And then
spitting that
bro,
game,
and then he
they
sat
come
there
at
for
you.
like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Until somebody came
And they
on.
come. They always come.
Yeah.
They always come.
These chicks always
But
come.
let's not get it confused. The fighters that are actually going through it, you know, they do it because of their training. They want to prove that they, you know, that they're capable of accomplishing whatever it is that they've been training for years or, you know, decades to do. So, however, the MMA has and boxing and professional fighting has turned into an entertainment avenue.
So I think now guys are really, people want to do it now.
The fighters are real deal.
Yeah, but people want to fight now because they think of the glamour. They see the UFC. They see the Jorge Masvidals and, you know, things of that nature. But back in the days, and I'm not saying that far back in the days, it was more of a, well, when you take a martial art, the only way to test how good you are at that martial art is competing against whoever your comrades are. And once you're one of the best in your gym, well, now I got to compete against some other people. Well, if I compete in karate or taekwondo and it's a point system and it's how do I know how really legit it is? I need to go against a Muay Thai guy. And then that's how I built, and the competitive nature, and then it became, real. I mean, forgive me, anybody listening or watching, what kind of set it all off was the Gracies. They came over here from Brazil, and they came here to challenge with the sole purpose of challenging people to see if their jiu-jitsu was the best compared to other ones.
From that time till now, you start to identify what is it that makes you a better fighter than me. So you see these the preliminary conversations that you're having before the fight, and they say, oh, well, his Brazilian jiu-jitsu is unmatched, and this guy's boxing and striking is unmatched, and his kickboxing is unmatched. Well, the Gracies brought in the idea of you need to be well-rounded in all of them. So when they talk about you, they say this fighter is unmatched. And so that's where I see these fighters that they go out there, they train their entire lives. Like Masvidal. Masvidal's been in the game for decades. And now is when he's starting to get his, and he's a bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah,
I love watching him fight. I love watching him talk because I got nothing to say to this guy. I just slapped him up, and I love that because in his head, he got to where he wanted to be, and that's an individual feeling that he's never going to be able to replicate. Like he got what he wanted out of his struggle, his everything that got him to that point.
I think I'm sure there's people there who are going to, disagree with it to a certain extent, but I think in a general way or in a universal way, he represents your average Miamian so well. Bro. So well. I mean, give or take, push or pull, he represents the average Miamian so well, from the Latino way to the attitude, to the confidence, to the everything. Still humble, a grinder, a hustler,
not given.
Yeah, loyal. He's been with the same team, A big shout out to Jorge and what he's done, and help put Miami more and more on the map. But we're not talking about fighters, but definitely the fighters are unique individuals. And then to me, who in their own way, they are fighters as well, but they take it to the next level. They take it to the most extreme level. Those are soldiers. Those are veterans. Those are people who are in the service, and everybody who's in the service, you're already a special person. Those who get deployed or take it to the next level with different things that they do and different specialties in regards to what they're, I don't know what they want to, sometimes you guys get put in a spot that you don't want to be in, right? I've heard many stories, almost swindled into doing it, but then you have those who like, nah, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to go gun-ho into it. Bring us back a little bit. First of all, you were with the
Army.
With the Army, and you were there how long?
I was 11 years in the service. I joined at 17, and I separated from the Army at 28. So,
and you're how old right now?
31. So about 3 years ago.
That was your whole
3.5 years.
That was your whole
adult life.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I was a student.
Appreciate your services, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
My pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. So I honestly, the person I am today is because of my military service, right? So at 17 years old, you don't know shit. You don't know anything. Yeah, you think you do, and your ego takes over, and your insecurities become the goal that you want to achieve to get over these insecurities. And so I was 17. I was doing well in school, and I was a part of the business program, the Future Business Leaders of America, and I was in the law club, and I ran track. And then I got a job, a little part-time job at a bank, and I started making good money, and I said, you know what? I'm going to skip this elective. I'm going to skip that elective. And I made bad decisions as a kid. And
so when you were skipping them, were you like...
I was going to work.
So you were literally skipping class to go to work. You didn't say...
So I was...
you didn't have the ability to say, I'm not going to take those classes. You were just skipping and going to work.
To make it even worse, to purge myself even worse, right? I was part of the work-study program, so I only had to go to school for half the day.
And you were still fucking up.
And at that point, I was like, you know what, bro? I want to get my 8 hours in. I don't want to get my 4 hours in. So I'm going to go get paid. And I stopped going to those classes. Most of them were electives. And the vice principal brought me in one day. My mom was there. And I was like, oh shit. And basically told me, hey, man, you got too many unexcused absences. I said, but my grades look good. He goes, yeah, but that's not how it works. And I said, okay, what are my options? He goes, you could repeat the 11th grade or you could leave. And I said, all right, man, I'm out. And that was my ego talking. Bad move. Right, but I ended up making the best of it, I think. So I went to Calle Ocho one year. That year, actually, that same year, a couple weeks after that, I went to Calle Ocho. I turned in all my books to school, and I said, my dad didn't even know about this yet, or my sister. And at Calle Ocho, I see everybody walking around with a black Army shirt, with a black shirt with yellow Army letters. I was like, I want that shirt. Why is everybody walking around with this free shirt?
really quick for people listening who don't know what Calle Ocho is, those who are not from Miami or South Florida, it is one of, if not, the most famous
Carnivals, I guess.
carnival street festival for Miami. It's Calle Ocho, basically 8th Street. And all Latinos
they
represent, they lock
30
down
city blocks, and
Right.
it's just basically a bunch of vendors and a bunch of food.
The
and
best Latin
artists come out on
food,
monster stages. I know some of the top artists in the world, Mark Anthony and Jay. I think they
they used to perform there. I don't know about anymore
time.
right now, but yeah.
time.
Okay,
And-
so when you guys hear that, you know where he's at now. You're walking Calle Ocho at 10 to 17 years old, and you see somebody with an army book bag.
Yeah, or the shirt, man. I see the tent, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna get that shirt. And I see stacks of them, and I put my name down, man. Like a week, I hadn't even been a week yet. And what a good marketing move for these recruiters, right?
Right.
So I got a call because I put my real number on there, which I learned right then and there. Never put your real phone number when you want some free shit at a carnival. But I'm glad I did, man. So he offered me.
Right.
He called me and he said, "Hey, you put your name on here. You're of age, as long as you get your parents' consent to join. However, if you want to join the army, we got 40 G's for you as a bonus." And I was like, $40,000. Damn. So within an hour, I was in his office, and I had to take this little pre-ASVAB, the test that the military in general makes you take. It's a vocational aptitude test to basically gauge where you would be, like what kind of profession you would be in the military. And man, it was, I think maybe 2 months had passed before I was actually shipped to boot camp, basic training.
And when did you tell your parents?
So my mom and dad were informed that I was talking to the recruiter right away, because at that point I had already told my dad that I dropped out of high school, and everybody was very worried about what, the path that I was going to take moving forward, because I could have probably just gone back to Gables the next year and started the 11th grade all over again and gotten my shit together. But my dad was excited. My dad has always been excited about me doing something that's bigger than me, right? So to go do something that is going to make you a better person, nothing's going to be given to you. If you go and you work your ass off and you go do something, anything, go get a certificate, right? Go get a sheet of paper that says you are somebody, whether it's college, whether it's the military, whether it's a professional certificate, something, because nobody cares unless you can show them what it is that you're capable of doing. And I said, man, he would love it if I did this. It'll straighten me out. I was kind of a little dipshit, He ate it up right away. He's been my biggest fan ever since. My sister has always been there to support me. At the time, I actually ended up marrying my middle school sweetheart. So she was right there by my side, and she said, you know what?
You don't hear that often, your middle school sweetheart.
Yeah, I met her in 7th grade, right? Isn't that weird? It's been a long time, man. I love her with all my life. She's pregnant with my child.
I see that.
Baby girl, man.
So if you're not watching it on YouTube, if you're listening to the audio, you're missing that Alex has a shirt that says "Baby Daddy."
Yeah,
that's it. Like that's a proud father to be to wear that before your daughter's even here. How far away is she?
She's 4.5 months pregnant. Okay, and it's our first baby. And yesterday was we had an appointment to see a parent. Okay, first of all, I don't know how the fuck they can do this shit, but they can see the organs and the skull, like the skull and the back, the spine and everything of this baby.
Through the sonograms.
Through a sonogram. I don't even know the science behind it. They won't let me in because of the coronavirus.
Oh, okay.
So Nikki comes out, and before she comes out, she sends me these videos, and you can see the baby upside down, and they zoom in to the hands, and they see the number of bones in the hands, and I'm like, what the fuck are we? That technology is amazing right now.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And I said, babe, is the baby healthy? Yeah, 100% healthy. So I knew I was going to be joining you today, and you told me specifically, wear whatever the fuck you want.
I did.
I said, you know what, I'm going to wear it tomorrow. And I told Nikki, she goes, what are you going to wear to my son? I'm going to wear my baby daddy shirt. She's like, you're an idiot. I said, no, I'm going to wear my baby daddy shirt.
I think that's awesome. I tell everybody before they come, I say, hey, dress how you want. I would think that, if you're going to be on camera, it's a podcast. Yeah. We're trying to promote what we're talking about, what we exemplify, what we represent. And right now you're in a moment where, that baby means so much to you, and that's what you want to rep. And that's great.
That's the next step.
Yeah, there you go. And but shit, you were smart enough to give us your cups for your, you see the logo? You guys see the logo?
Made some cups, guys. Trying to brand the TMG mortgages. I'm a mortgage loan officer. We'll get there a little later,
yeah, for sure.
But basically, back to it, man. I had a great support group. No matter what. And it's always been the same people that have always had my back, and they have always enabled me and just told me, good job, you're doing okay, you're doing well. The people who are very close to me in my life, my parents, my sister, my wife, I have a few friends that I've known since I was 4 years old, and that's always been my circle. And even the people that I met post you know, joining the Army that are part of my wife's circle here in Miami and stuff like that. Everybody's always been very supportive. That's very important because no matter what you're doing, you know, the military is a great experience for any adult, male, female, doesn't matter. You don't identify, doesn't matter. Whatever the case may be, if you're in the military, you have to make, you have to understand that it is what it is, right? And you can make the best out of it, and you can become a better person. And they were always very supportive. No matter if I was down, if I was on an up and up, and you know, if I was in a slump, they always had my back.
I think there's a lot of okay. Like here's a quick comparison. I'm agnostic. Okay. Not religious at all. But I have nothing against, to a great extent, I have nothing against people doing that. I think that if you study hard to be a Christian or a Catholic, or it's great guidance. It's literally gonna show you great things on how to be a better person, and it gives you structure, and it gives you, you know, positive guidance to be a better person all the time. However, whatever that endpoint is, heaven, hell, God, or whatever, all these different, you know, religious figures. But same thing with the Army, Navy, Marines, you name it. I think that you're going to come out 9 times out of 10 way more positive, and it's a good thing for you. Only thing I have against it is just the politics behind it.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with the service. It's got nothing to do with the branch. It's got nothing to do with the individuals going in or what their reasoning is. I just hate that. Damn, young Alex going in at 17, 18. I get it. I see where he's at with it. I know he's going to come back a better person. But this dumbass president, or these governors, or these stupid politics, or
Making
this
decisions,
or this
influence.
$1 trillion company, you know, needs to build a new city, so they want to go tear. It's crazy.
It is,
and I get worked up about that because, you know, I would probably be like, Alex, I don't want you to go, dog. I don't want you to get caught up in that. But hey, you know,
but you know something you learn in life as an adult that has experienced both, you know, the civilian's life and the civilian side, I mean, and the armed forces is. There's politics and everything, right? And it's 2020, so politics have evolved to a point where it doesn't matter what the reality of it is, right? It doesn't matter what the solution is. It's, you know, we have to. You're either for it or against it, and either side, you know, it's very hostile. So in our capacity as service members, at the lowest level, you know, in the bottom of the totem pole, you get to experience the stupidities of discomfort, which is like extra hours or doing something in a hot environment, but not necessarily like the political repercussions of it. So we see the politics, and we're just we're disadvantaged because we have to go and embrace the suck. But it's you're not wrong, man. The politics do take place. You know, politics are huge in the military. It's a dog and pony show when politicians even show up. Mm-hmm. But then in the civilian sector, you see it as well. Regular life here in Miami, you see your life affected daily due to politics, your friendships, your relationships, all that stuff. Yeah. You know, and it's how you handle it in the paradigm you live in, and how you see reality around you that embraces your ability to or enables your ability to just move forward in a way that you understand. Does it really fucking matter? Does it affect me? My opinion on the topic of something going on the other side of the world, I get it. It's important that we do have a say in things in this democracy, and we vote. But I don't want to have an argument with you, and then
for something that we're not going to change.
I don't. This isn't my problem.
Right.
It's our problem collectively as a as a nation, as a union. But it's not my fucking problem. Like, I don't care. You know. And please don't make me argue with you.
Right.
Something that doesn't affect either of our lives for the sake of having an opinion and thinking you're better than me or not. I don't think I'm better than anybody. You know, I'm the most generous, and I would hope that people believe I'm generous, and I'm not opinionated. I'm not going to base my relationship with people based on opinion, and we do that now. That's a thing that's going on. It's very unfortunate.
When you knew you were going to go, you enlisted, you knew you were a certain time away from going to boot camp. One, were you already in decent shape of any sort? Oof. And whether you were or not, were you kind of intimidated at the, you know, it's not something that most people talk about, the boot camp aspect?
Scared shitless.
Were you?
I had no idea what to expect.
Right.
I saw movies, but we're in Miami.
Exactly.
First of all, that was the first culture shock I've ever experienced in my life. Because we're in Miami. And these, you know, here in Miami, real deal, you know, we all think we're a bunch of goons and we're, you know, we're hardcore and this and that. Wait till you go to the middle of Oklahoma, right? And now you have 250 people, you know, around you, and in the bay that you sleep in with these, you know, there's 50 bunk beds, right? And you have your platoon in there, and man, you have people from all over the world Imagine that culture shock, and now you're nothing compared to these dudes that sling hay bells and all that stuff, and these strong, powerful dudes that trained their whole life to join the army. Whereas I did it as an opportunity, and now you have to humble yourself. Was I fit? I could run really fast for long periods of time, right? But I couldn't do a push-up. You know, sit-ups to me weren't what the Army standard for sit-ups were and stuff like that. I joined that 6 foot tall, 122 pounds. Some people joined the Army.
That was your specs,
man,
your stats?
I was really, really skinny.
6 foot?
Yeah.
100 and...
I wish I could find some pictures, and I tried to get some, and I couldn't, man. But I was thin, bro. Some people joined at that time there was a surge, so there was you know, if you applied to join the military, you signed up, you were going to get through, and if you were overweight, you were going to be on some type of diet program. Or
was there a specific reason for the surge that you're talking about?
This was 2006, so I think like 2000, bro, I don't know the specifics, please don't quote me, but from like 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, Bush was trying to push as many people into Iraq, Afghanistan. We needed more bodies. If you understand the complexity behind being combat ready as as a unit, as a brigade of 20,000 soldiers, you know, you have to have 20,000 soldiers that are ready. It's not that easy. So there was a surge in recruiting, and there were bonuses being given to recruiters at the time. That is a fact. I do know that. For them meeting their quotas or exceeding their quotas, they would get promoted based off of it. They got accolades based off of it, and so we joke about it, but it's not as, you know, as literal as this is going to sound. But anybody could get in. You know, at that time, anybody could join.
I get it.
It's a lot more strict now to join the military. Back then, you could have, you know, felonies. You could be high school dropout. You could everything had to have a waiver. So I had to get a waiver to join just because of my weight. Okay. And a second waiver my parents had to sign because I was 17. I had to get my GED right away in order to join, because you have to have a GED or high school diploma. But back to the physical aspect, man, that was interesting, bro.
Yeah. And how long was the boot camp?
9 weeks. So it's a little bit more than that, because you have like 2 weeks of, you know, getting your head shaved and getting all your vaccinations, getting issued all your uniforms. You get one bag that you get to bring with you with civilian clothes, you know, which just shorts and a shirt, whatever. And then you give that up, they put it in a locker, and you see it 2.5 months down the road. But it's about 11, 12 weeks total, right? And then right when you're getting ready to graduate, you start rehearsing for the dog and pony show. Your family comes to visit you in the middle of Oklahoma. They got to take like 7 flights to get there, because, you know, small municipal airports and stuff. And then it becomes...
When do you get to choose in the process of this, you know, beginning phase? When do you get to choose, or try to choose, what is it you want to zone in on in the Army?
Okay, so before you actually sign the contract to join the military, you take the ASVAB. So it's an aptitude vocational test, aptitude vocational battery, or something like that. That it gives you a score, like an IQ, right? Like taking the SAT, you get a certain score, right? And so depending on your ability to use mathematics for reasoning, or your knowledge of medical procedures to save somebody's life, or like CPR, first aid, first responder stuff, engineering, all these different professions, there's like simple questions based on all of that, right? So like gears moving in different directions, and with a rope, like what is the outcome of this bucket being pulled by this rope based on the direction of these gears? Like those things, it's interesting. It's very accurate, right? So then that gives you, when you take that test, you get a score, and you have certain scores for each of those topics or those subjects. And then there's military occupational specialties associated with that knowledge. So because of your score and your aptitude in these specialties, these are the jobs you can have. You could be a military police officer. You could be, like me, I initially joined as a fire direction specialist for multiple launch rocket systems, right? So missiles and rockets that are precision missiles. And I would coordinate between the person on the ground asking for fires or support, and then the launcher itself. So I would do the math. I would calculate what rocket systems we have, not calculate, but I'll identify the systems and the actual munitions that we had available, and kind of, will it go over this mountain based on what you know on this hill, the trajectory of the round, the time of flight, how long it's going to take to hit the target.
Does that mean that when you did all these tests that you actually did pretty good in math?
Math, yes. So I'm a huge nerd, right? So I did very well in math, and it was computational skills, math and engineering and stuff like that. Man, I got to revisit that. I got to see what it is. Now that I know how it is that you get the job, I would love to revisit, see how I did on the ASVAB and see how that related to that job. That's a good question.
What's up, crazy world? You got to be a little loose upstairs if you're following us. But if you're not following us, what the hell are you waiting for? Listen, go ahead, stop what you're doing, pause. You can come right back to this. I want you to subscribe, go to YouTube. I want you to go to iTunes. I want you to go to SoundCloud. I want you to just find any platform that we're on. Follow, listen, show your love and support. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Let's get back to the podcast.
But yeah, man, after doing that for 6 years, I was in so the last duty station where I served before I decided that I wanted to switch it up. I was doing really well in my career. I was getting promoted fast. I was getting recognized by my senior leaders.
What is this time frame? A year in?
This is 6 years in now. So,
oh shit, we fast forward big time.
Okay, so you asked me how it is that you decide your specialty. So the at the recruiters, MEPS, Military Entry Processing Station here in Miami, they gave me that list and they said, all right, which one of these do you want? And it's one of those things that at the time, you really didn't have very much time to choose. It's not like they're pushing like, hey, pick one, go. And I picked the one with the biggest bonus. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Okay.
I didn't know what MLRS was. I watched videos online and they were antiquated. They were like from the 80s. And I was like, this seems super cool, bro.
Okay.
All right. It ended up being a super badass job. All right. Very few units in the Army are actually MLRS units. And on top of that, the people who that benefited me very well because since there are such few units, there's very few opportunities for promotion. So the people who were senior at the time that I joined were great assets, right? So they were the people who deserved to be in that position of leadership, and they were amazing mentors. I have so many mentors that I could, the list it's never ending, right? I owe my entire, everything, the way I think, the way I act, my professionalism, my disciplines now, the way I carry myself, I owe it to those individuals that were in those positions, okay? My first duty station after basic training, you go through the training for your job. You have to first learn how the systems of the military work. You have to understand the discipline. You become indoctrinated in some capacity, and not in a negative way, in a positive way, to say yes, sir, no, sir. Right?
When you say indoctrinated, being an ex-con, I take that as you become institutionalized? Is that like you're expected to?
You know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat it, yeah, but it's not a negative.
Right.
It's a necessary evil, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So it's a necessary evil, and if you accept it, then it's okay. It's absolutely fine to say, yes, sir. I don't give a fuck why you're asking me to go and clear out a 40-foot container and reorganize it. You told me to. I'm sure there's a fucking reason. I just saw you come out of a meeting, sir, right, that you were in for 2 hours. I needed you to sign my leave statement so I can go home to Miami, but it took you 2 hours to finish that meeting, and when you came out, my platoon sergeant told me to go clear out a Connex. Obviously, you guys discussed this. It's not like, hey, let's go fuck with Alex, So if you can accept that there's a reason behind things, and you accept that discipline, that indoctrination of just accept what your superior, you will be loyal to those who you serve. It's part of our creed, right? I'll be loyal to those with whom I serve, seniors, peers, and subordinates alike. Just do it, because there's logic behind it, and we are the most powerful military force in the fucking world. This isn't anything new. Nobody's asking you to do something that, to hurt you. They're doing it for a reason. It's the way it's always been done, and we're fucking successful. Let's fucking do it. I'm going to go and do it.
Yeah, what all the best leaders try to remind people in all, limelights is trust the process. Trust the process. Whatever you're in, doesn't matter. You got to trust the process. Yeah. This is not
there's higher echelons above giving guidance, and there's a logic behind things that have U.S. interest in mind, right? And so if you're a leader and you're able to do those things that suck, because it's not easy to tell somebody to go and do something that sucks, right? Go sweep the motor pool. The motor pool is where we keep, it's a fenced-in area where we keep our vehicles. It has to be immaculate, right? Because that's the standard to which the United States holds itself, not because they want to fuck with the privates. You go, and every Friday, before you are released for the weekend, you're going to go sweep the dirt off the gravel, right? There's no little pebbles. All the seat belts in the vehicles are tight. There's discipline. There's an organizational standard, right? There's a reason for that. Because if you hold your equipment to the same standard of which you carry yourself, right, then you're going to be successful. You're not going to have those problems. It's an institutional success.
I agree.
You're fully mission capable.
Exactly.
And people take that as offense, like, oh, they're fucking with me. They're punishing me. It's not punishment, man. It's part of the fucking job. You signed up for this shit. Guess what? A lot of people, for example, my profession now, I work 14, 15, 16 hours a day, right? And I sit behind a computer and I bitch about it like it sucks, but it doesn't, right? Because I'm sitting behind a computer. There's people out there that are laying, you know, plumbers. There's people out there building fucking highways, shoveling gravel and stuff like that in 110-degree heat, right? That sucks. But in the military, you wake up really early, but you also get off every single day at the exact same time, at 4:30, because it's very family-oriented, okay? You have to spend time with your family. Otherwise, you're going to go fucking crazy. So the military, it's a great experience for individuals who need to just find themselves if they use it to the best of their ability. There's people who go. There's always, you know, a percentage of people who join the military who probably should have never joined, probably should have never have been accepted, and are not making the best out of it, and they're taking things very personal as opposed to just embracing the suck, right? And if you embrace the suck and you're in the right place at the right time, in the right uniform, you're going to be successful. However, that has the leadership, you know, it's very important. So if you're working for a shitbag, which is what we call them, excuse my language, you know, not everybody is nobody's a shitbag. Everybody has the reason for the logic that they use. But it's a cliche that we, you know,
do you feel like that maybe I mean, you know, for the most part, most people know what they're getting into when they enroll in any kind of, you know, military. Obviously, you know, you hear about the process, you read about the process. No, you're right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and that's why my question is: do you think the military can do a little bit better with giving you like realistic expectations?
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about that in regards to coming back to civilian life. For sure, we know that can be improved. Right. But even, hey guys, we're going to ask you to do shit that you're going to be like, why the fuck are we doing this? You know, do they tell you that, or they feel more like, no, suck it up and you figure it out for yourself, because that's part of the entire process?
So it's part of the process.
You figure it out, that we're not here to just, you know.
So understand something. You have people who join the military to find themselves. You have people who join the military because of patriotism. You have people who join the military because it's the family thing to do, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody did it in the family, the males, females, whatever the case may be. You have people who join the military for benefits, right? It could be educational benefits, because as an enlisted member, your student loans could be forgiven. I actually earned an associate's degree in the military. You know, there's certain benefits that you can obtain as being a service member. A lot of stuff is free. You get a lot of discounts. It's great. Okay, it helps. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, It helps us a lot. We're not the wealthiest. We're not the highest paid. And at the end of the day, you know what, man? We kind of do it, you know, go through some shitty situations. So thank you for giving me 10% off at Foot Locker, right? There's people who get their student loans paid, all that stuff. Free college while you're in the military. You get the GI Bill afterwards. So the people who do it strictly for benefits, they learn it and they hate it, right? When they go through it. But if you tell people step by step the process, you know, the what do they call it? The Shark Tank, or the attack that you get when you first come out of the bus at basic training, day one, with the drill sergeant with a big fat green bill in your face, and you know that's a drill sergeant, and he's just hammering you, telling you to pick some shit up, just put it back on the ground. Why aren't you running? Why are you saying, sir, I'm a sergeant? This, and yelling in your face, all that stuff. If you told people to do that, they wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And if you told them what to expect, to a certain extent, they'll take it as a game, right? And when we first talked, we talked about paradigms, and the paradigms that people live in the tunnel visions, mm-hmm. and they'll take it as the character, and they won't take it as serious. I think it's very important that people get an understanding that it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be fun, you're not going to be comfortable, right? But there's a reason behind it, and if you can deal with this shit for 9 weeks, okay, then you go to advanced individual training and you learn your profession. When you get to your unit, you're going to realize that your superiors, right, your leaders, if they're doing the right thing and providing purpose, motivation, and direction to get you to, you know, to accomplish the mission and make you understand that you can enjoy your time in the military, you're going to be fine. If you go into it knowing that you're going to get yelled at, you're not going to take the yelling serious. Right? I mean, you're going to get yelled at. If you're doing the military, you're going to get yelled at. It has to happen. You have to learn to respect the rank, right? This person who owns that rank didn't just appear in the next chapter of your life. From nowhere. This person has been through every part of the, you know, the every milestone in the military. They have done it all. They have experience. They're there for a reason. The military decided that there would be an opportunity, like a great leader, and the military exploited the opportunity to make that leader your leader. Okay? So in that capacity, that leader also has a responsibility to provide purpose, motivation, and direction. I need you to do this because of this. This is what I need to motivate you to do it because it'll benefit the team in this capacity, it'll benefit us. It'll make things easier for us. And then direction. This is how I want you to do it. This is the easiest way to do it. This is the best way to do it. This is the cheapest way to do it. This is the logistically the best, the most convenient way to, purpose, motivation, and direction defines leadership.
I think in defense of the whole surprise aspect, of them not telling you, of them not giving you an outline expectation, list of expectations of what's going to happen, periodically and so on and so forth. That's not how life works. Mm-mm. That's not how life works at all. Life always sneaks up on you with some bullshit. And even when you come back, whether it's your boss, assistant manager, fucking accident, there's so many things. Life always just surprises you. Right. You don't have a script for it. You can try your best to prepare, but you don't have a script for it.
And so then that takes me to the next step in my military career, the next phase. Mm-hmm. So I did 6 years as an artilleryman and fire direction. I was all over Europe and Asia, parts of the country here, stationed, training soldiers. I dealt with weapons, and I was in the arms room, and I would train soldiers to use different weapon systems and all that stuff. But then when I came back from Korea, I was in light speed mode, man. I was just fucking getting promoted. Everything was going well. I was in the best shape of my life at that point. Now I can knock out 100 push-ups in 2 minutes. Like I could really see myself, doing well. Mm-hmm. And I applied for a special operations MOS, and I was selected. And then I went to selection, which is, you see it on the history channel for special forces, civil affairs, psychological operations. They go the 2 to 3 weeks in hell, right? Mm. You see the SEALs documentaries of the buds.
Seen all of those.
Yeah. There's a fucking logic behind that, right? It's not designed to see if you're capable. Well, you have to be kind of capable, right? It's more designed to see, like, are you going to quit? Because you don't know what's coming. So these exercises that we went through, man, perfect example. Unknown distance marches, ruck marches. So a ruck march, you have your kit, your full pack, with all your clothes, your meals, your equipment, your ammunition, your water, and all that stuff. That's about 70 pounds. The minimum weight standard is 35. Realistically, after you add water and stuff like that, you're sitting around 50, 60 pounds. In a shitty situation, you're sitting on 80 to 70 to 80 pounds, and depending on your job, if you're
that's a lot of weight.
If you're a mortarman or something like that. But in that selection process, everything is fucking unknown to you, bro. Mm. You don't know what the fuck is next. And so your cadre, the people evaluating you, you're working as part of a team the whole time. And the cadre, they don't speak directly to you. You have no communication with them. All your instructions come from a whiteboard. So you're out there in the middle of North Carolina in podunk fucking woods, right? Sucks. Shit marsh, bro. Fucking horrible. In the middle of the fucking summer. So like Miami summer, okay, we're going to the beach. It's 90 degrees. It's humid. There's wind, right? It's a coastal city. North Carolina summer is 110 degrees, and it's fucking unforgiving.
Do they have mosquitoes like we do?
Yeah, man. But they have some other fucking weird ass bugs too, bro. That's scary as hell. They got spiders are like that fucking big with big old spider webs in the middle of the woods, and everything you do in training, you're in the woods or you're in a desert environment, right?
Right.
So they'll tell you, hey, check it out. You got 4 hours of sleep last night. The whiteboard, they just put it on, and you have somebody watching the whiteboard while you're taking naps, It says, get ready for a unknown distance ruck march. And so now you're fucking shit. Like, bro, first of all, you're trying to get accepted into a special operations community, right? So you have to do your best. And now you're like, fuck, I'm exhausted. It's been 8 days already. I'm in the middle of the night writing fucking random ass essays about, just can I articulate a thought on paper just to see if I can write an email to an important dignitary of the United States, stuff like that, to test your mind, where your mind is with lack of sleep. But now there's a physical aspect.
It's interesting. You never hear that detail.
Yeah, man. How ineffective would it be if you have a 4-man team serving, the ambassador of whatever fucking nation, and they can't write an email?
Yeah. You're too exhausted. You're too whatever. Yeah. They got to test that sharpness. Yeah.
There's no fucking excuse. It's U.S. efforts,
Right.
And people don't understand how important that really is. Fuck politics. Fuck where you think you belong in this world. U.S. efforts, man. As much as you may love or hate this country, we're still the most dominant fucking empire in our current civilization. So if you're not showing the true colors of the United States of America everywhere else, you're not fucking living up to the standard that we hold, and your fucking U.S. efforts up. So you have to be well articulated. You have to be able to remember stuff. You have to be able to remember where you stand on the totem pole. But then there's the physical aspect, and you would get up, man, and you have this unknown distance, and it's never fun. Like, it's never like a mile, you know.
And that whole process was 3 weeks.
That was about 17 days, almost. 14,
So when that was over, you got selected.
So when that was over, now you're selected. So now you can go train. You're still not a part of the Special Operations community. Now you can go to John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School. And I was a civil affairs specialist, right? So as any special operations service member has to learn, first of all, a language, because you're assigned to one of the 5 geographic combating commands. So you have the Pacific Command, the African Command, the European Command, the Southern Command, and the Northern Command. Okay, I was assigned to the Pacific Command. So I learned Indonesian. It took 4 to 6 months, I don't remember. And I had to learn how to speak it well. Like, saya baby cara bahasa Indonesia, you know? And
whoa.
Yeah, bro.
That sounded like you just cussed me out.
And the dude that was teaching us, you know, we called him guru because that's the word for teacher. You know, we use guru as whatever, but for them, that's the word in Indonesian and all that stuff. This guy barely spoke English. So now you have a bunch of us, you know, a bunch of wannabe tough asses. And you know what, bro? It's the people that I went with.
Do you still know it fluently? Or at least understand it?
I can hold my own.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a joke about that here in a second, but after language school, then you go into the actual training, okay. And you learn your profession, right? Advanced negotiation skills, better understanding your situational environment, the physical environment, whatever capacity, right? Did I learn it? Well, yeah, man. You have to learn it in order to be in the in order to pass, you have to have a certain rating in your language. But I never got to fucking use it. So right after I graduated from the Special Operations Academy, I went on a cruise with my wife and 2 of our good friends, and that's the only time I've ever been able to use Indonesian, because all my deployments were to the Middle East, and then you know, so like
get out of here.
Half the fucking crew was Indonesian, so my wife would be like, "Well, I want to go to the pool," and I'm here talking to the guy that's like making our little funny like elephant towel on the fucking bed.
Why'd you chose Indonesian?
I didn't.
I
didn't. So again, once now you have to take a test to get into that community. And what is the name of that exam? Oh, man. There's a test that you take. It's a fictitious language, right? And basically, it's designed to see how well you can learn rules of language. Okay. So, like, the English language has rules. I before E, except after C. Okay. Commas, you know, punctuation and stuff like that. The different meaning of a sentence based on where you punctuate and all that stuff. So if they give you the sound goes after the sound and then they say a sentence and they try to like get you to figure out what it is. You know, the test is not, you can't pass or fail. It gives you a rating. My rating was for Indonesian, which was probably low. I don't know.
Because of that test.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucked up because I know Spanish and they didn't fucking care. You know? I could have gone to South America, my whole fucking, the whole second part of my career, but hey, you know what?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
right.
Everything in life happens for a reason, right?
There you
go. Yeah, so I had to learn Indo. I spent most of my time in the Middle East anyway, and then I had to continue to refresh on Indonesian just because that was the language assigned to me. But I was benefited from the fact that you get paid more based on your skills, and because I was what's called a 3-3 Spanish speaker, the rating, I was able to get extra pay because of that. So, you know, people take that for granted, being bilingual, because of Miami. Because everybody's bilingual in Miami. But not step fucking 10 paces north of New York, of Orlando, you're not going to find a Spanish speaker, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And people don't know.
And Orlando's loaded with a bunch of Latinos, but a lot of them don't.
These huge cities, right? These metropolises like New York, Miami, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, and all this stuff. Like, man, we see a diverse culture, but again, imagine my culture shock at basic training in Oklahoma, where like 4 people spoke Spanish, man, and we were a fucking clique. Like, we were scared, not scared of anybody, just like, bro, I don't know who to fucking talk to. Like, what if I say something offensive?
So once you picked up the language, what was the career that you went into?
So it was a civil affairs. I was a civil affairs specialist. Okay, so our goal was always to maintain the consider the populace, right? So there's a different war fighting, I guess, not war fighting specialties, but it's like in combat, in a combat role, you have space. You have to dominate the space, right? You have to dominate technology. You have to dominate with with weapon systems and all that stuff. So you always have to factor in the fact that the populace is on the battlefield, right? So you have to win over the populace. And so we would come up with ways to make sure that not just winning over their hearts and minds. It's not just making them think that it's okay. It has a lot to do as well with making sure that they're safe, right? So making sure that they have access to clean water, to health systems and all that stuff. And then how do you manipulate their local government to think and not make it in some parts of the world, the U.S. is, as the shining light that brought this upon them. Like you have to go into places knowing that the U.S. The U.S.'s end state is for stability, right? So we don't need you to think that we are your God in glory, right? We want you to think that we're here to help in some capacity, but your own government is the one that's providing you with these essential services. So
are you mainly dealing with other government people?
So we deal with their law enforcement agencies, with their first responders. We built hospitals. We dig wells. We provide them the ability to learn how to use the pellets and the little pills to clean water, right? All of that has its benefits and it has its risks. So what happens when you take that away? So you have let's say you go into Africa, and parts of Africa that are not as densely populated, and it's a little bit far away from an urban area, and you start giving these people clean water. Let's talk about Cuba. I went to Cuba when I was 14 years old. I drank a watermelon juice from a fucking street truck, and I got like dysentery for like 4 days. And I was shitting myself for like 4 fucking days. Imagine if the people of Cuba, you give them clean water and they become accustomed to it and their body adapts to that, and then you just stop.
Right.
Now you're going to have a population of sick people who might die. So you have to maintain a presence. You have to make sure that you're training their local government and all that stuff to provide that for them, and we would take the lead in all of these actions. And in that capacity, we were always in a 4-man team, 4 to 6 people, depending on your assets, your linguists, extra security, stuff like that. And so you also have to be technically and tactically proficient in order to accomplish the mission, because there's always, a chance for hostility, right? So
saying that, that's a good way to bring me into my next question. I know it's always been not the most difficult topic to discuss, but one of those taboos, I guess, if you want to call it that. On the podcast, almost every other podcast, we have some type of mentioning of woman equality.
Okay.
And I'm a big believer in, we all need to try to be as equal as possible, because it's just a difficult thing to accept that someone is not, and they're getting treated differently, and then boom, that just causes a whole domino effect of we're just not there yet as a human race, in my opinion. Maybe as a society, but to accept certain things in order to let us progress in a positive manner. So when you have the inequalities of races, genders, religions, things of that nature, is always going to cause ruckus. But this one has been, pretty at home for a while. I don't know about other countries. I don't even know how many countries allow females in their military. Give me, obviously, I know as a military person, you want to say the right things. I'm not saying you want to be politically correct, but
I'll be really
choose how you will to speak about it. But what is your take on females in the military? I'm sure you're cool with it and everything else, like most people are, but where some of us are dumbfounded by it, and I got friends that I talk to about it, is, are they really carrying their own? Do they really have to carry that 70-pound weight? Would a female? These are random, rhetorical questions. Would a female ever be put as a mortar? Would you say a
mortar woman?
Yeah, mortar woman, or hell no, they'll never give a woman that, because she has to ruck, 70 pounds, 80 pounds. She couldn't handle that. That'll be detrimental to the group, the team, whatever. And then of course whatever else, little nitbits that you know of. What is your take on women in the military and their role in the military, and how does that, regardless of your opinion, how does their role in the military affect the actual military?
So first and foremost, let's understand something. You're not going into a job that says yes to fucking everybody, okay?
Right.
So they have to be selected. Not even
Anybody.
Not even the special operations community.
Right.
To be in the military, right? you have to pass certain fucking milestones. Like you have to pass your physical fitness test. You have to be, you know, a certain height and weight to be able to. You can't jump out of an airplane if you weigh too little, because your parachute won't fucking function properly. You can't weigh too much. Different things. So the fact that the females are in the military, right? They first of all, if they made it through, then they belong there. Okay, I'm nobody to say that they don't. However, there's a huge difference between can she do it or he. Fuck gender.
Right.
Can he do it?
Might be a fragile 5'4", 140-pound dude.
Buddy, and I don't want to say their names, but there's females that went to selection with me, and I was a fucking track star that can run the 2 mile or 3 mile or 4 mile or 5 mile or fucking buku minutes before me, ahead of me, right? That can outruck me, who could probably whoop my ass, probably whoop your ass, probably whoop. I don't want to say it out loud. But you know what I'm saying? Like these are
female whoop my ass. I'll take that challenge if you guys want to do that. I don't give a fuck.
You'd be surprised, bro. Listen, there's some bad girls out there, man.
Nah,
they're an asset to the team, right?
Right.
And in some parts of the world, our mission is to meet the objective of the U.S. effort. And in order to do that, we have to have a female on the team. And I encouraged it. If you go into the Muslim into an Islamic nation, right, and you have the Muslim community, and you need to go and speak to a power player, an influencer in this community, right, and his wife is in the room, and she has information that you need, right, because you're always trying to gain access to influencer information, right? You can't disrespect this man that you're trying to influence to help you, and just start talking to his wife. You ask him permission. What if he says no? You're a male in this part of the fucking world, right? You can't do it. And you need to learn that. That's it. You could do it here in America. And if you tell me I can't talk to your wife, then you're a bigot. Okay? You're a fucking asshole. But in Muslim nations that we're trying to help restore stability, their way of life, their culture says that you ask permission before you speak to his wife, right? Or his daughter, or his neighbor who's a woman, or whatever. So then we would bring women along. And guess what? She was just as tough, just as trained, right? Just as capable physically, mentally, all right? Just as well versed in medical skills that would be necessary to save my life, technically and technically proficient, and she knew the language. And so that is a barrier that we would cross. And you know what, man? Some of them were our team leaders. Some of them were in charge, and you wouldn't have to bring an extra person. They would be a part of the four-man team. But it doesn't play into the same capacity with the larger units that have a more ambiguous mission, right? So patrolling, when you have large units of 60 soldiers in a platoon, you know, or 20, 30, 40 soldiers in a platoon, or in a company, you have 100 soldiers, stuff like that. People get bored. People have needs, man. It's the human race. It's normal, right, to have wants and needs and have desires and hormones. It becomes a distraction. People fall in love, okay? I'm not saying that this is the situation in every combat environment that the female goes into. But, you know, when you consider, is the female ready to be a part of an infantry unit? Yeah, she can do it. Everybody knows she can do it, right? Are these males that are a part of this unit with her capable of maintaining their professionalism? Absolutely. But guess what? Science takes a fucking toll on you sometimes. So 6 months down the fucking road, you know, you build a relationship with somebody, right? Now, what happens when that person gets shot in combat?
Now you're emotional. You're different. Yeah.
Now you're not doing your job.
Exactly.
Okay. And it's as simple as that. And it's not the reasoning, and I don't know the political reasoning for.
So what if I apologize? Look, I apologize for cutting you off. What if I'm playing devil's advocate?
Because the same could be said about homosexuality too.
Bam. One. And two, so what if it's just a bromance? What if it's just you're my dog? Yo, Alex, I started with Alex fucking 6 years ago. Here we are on the 7th year. That's my road dog. And then I get emotional because something else.
Listen, women,
it's just an argument, you know?
Women have different medical needs, okay? They have different medical needs that just natural, right? Their cycles, their menstruation cycles throughout the month. What happens when you're on a mission? What happens when you're out in an austere environment for 60 days and you have an infection? You just became a distraction to the commander. It's not a negative. We're not saying that you're not capable, that we don't want you there. It's what is the intent of the United States of America, right? What is the end state? What is our mission? What is our effort, right? If we can mitigate that, of course you're welcome to join our unit. Of course you're welcome. We know you're more capable than most of the, than others. But at the same time, it's the most logical reasoning, financially, logistically, having to transport somebody back, You know, you're losing another soldier to accompany him. You know, it doesn't matter if it's male or female. It's what is the logic behind the mission, and does it make sense to have somebody that in that position doing that job, right? So it's complex, man. My opinion about it is very humble. Okay, I've seen it. I have girls I have females who have blown me out of the water physically and mentally. Okay, their capabilities are strong. However, it's not my place to decide. First of all, I don't think it's the public's place to understand something that they don't live, you know, on a daily basis. You're not there accomplishing that mission, and at the same time, the human aspect of it, the human factor, will overpower the discipline.
What's up, folks? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective, Season 2. If this happens to be your first time watching or listening, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode. Once again, thank you everyone out there for all the support. And a big shout out to Infused Wellness. During these difficult and weird times, especially while trying to balance my responsibilities in life, I just was not able to focus on keeping my body as healthy and energized as I wanted it to be. And I'm sure many of you out there go through the same tough times while trying to deal with what life throws at you as well. So I reached out to my man Alex at Infused Wellness. They provide hormone optimization, custom vitamin IV therapy, peptide therapies, weight management, anti-aging medicine, hair restoration, skincare and aesthetics, and yes, folks, sexual functions. So listen, they customize programs tailored to each individual's needs, and the results are guaranteed. Alex and everybody out there working for Infused Wellness, thank you for helping me get by these rough times and making me feel the way I've always wanted to feel. Now let's get back to the podcast. Okay, so you're definitely saying that women are capable, and I believe most of the world believes that, but what people are failing to realize is the mission. That's number one goal, the mission. It doesn't matter. It's not the woman. It's not even maybe homosexuals. It's the mission. It's
listen. Units of men are selective, right? Men are selected,
right.
So it doesn't matter if you're male, female. If you don't even identify as having a gender. It doesn't matter. What is the ultimate sacrifice? Not the sacrifice. The ultimate path along that we will take. All the milestones that we're gonna cross to accomplish the end state, the commander's end state.
Are you okay there?
Let's get some more in there, man. Does that make sense?
Of course it does, 100%.
And let's be realistic. There's no right or wrong. Okay, nobody cares, and nobody can articulate well enough an argument that's gonna make a difference. We can argue it amongst ourselves, and we can have opinions, and that's fine. It's okay. But it doesn't affect, it shouldn't change the fact that this mission requires this to happen, and reasonably, right, using science, this is going to become a financial, a logistical, a mission. It could affect the mission in whatever capacity problem, whether it's male or female. You can have an all-male unit or you can have an all-female unit and not allow males into it because it affects the mission. Right? Doesn't matter if you're male or female. It just, people need to stop thinking about the simplicity of that very easy argument, right? That first look, male versus female. It's not male versus female, man. It doesn't fucking make sense, right? You go to Afghanistan right now, you have 50 fucking male females inside of the chow hall, we call it, the dining facilities, right? Doesn't matter. But you don't see that in a platoon of soldiers that are out in a forward operating base for 60 to 90 days, you know, because it becomes a challenge when there's different cycles. Men and women both have hormones.
Now, are most
what happens if somebody gets knocked up?
Are most people agreeing with your take on this? Or you know, if we're talking ratios, if we're talking percentage, if like what percent is a bunch of knuckleheads who are like, man, these fucking women, they need to put them behind a goddamn desk and whatever, you know, that just very chauvinistic. So, is that percent? I'm hopefully assuming that it's lowering little by little.
Coincidentally, it's the same percentage that you're going to get with any other real argument. If you really focus on arguments and the way that, you know, opinionated responses to things, we get, or I was taught, so I don't know if everybody still gets taught, but I was taught, and it stuck with me forever, right? And I even use it today. I use it today in business because I do mortgages, right? So I even use it in my logic with business.
Okay.
You have a football field, right? You got the red zone, right? So you have one red zone, which is where you're never going to sway those people. Those people are pro, no women in combat roles. Then you have one that you're never going to convince that, no, this woman, the women in general should be in every combat role.
Right. And
should only be women. And so you have your left and your right. Forget about politics. You have you have people that you're never going to sway. That's fine, right? That's if you need that for balance. But then you have about 60%. So you have 20 and 20, 30 and 30, or whatever. You have the middle ground, and you have people who are reasonable, all right? They're moderate. They can say, okay, you know what? I can see how this woman is capable, but it doesn't, maybe next, there's a mission that she could be a part of.
Now let me step off the woman part. What about the homosexuals?
Okay.
Are they? Because now they're allowed to be open, right? I'm very new to this, but before they were told, don't ask, don't tell. Okay. Now they're open about it. Are they getting backlash over it? Are they openly gay?
So I don't know what's going on now. I will tell you this. So I'm also non-denominational. Like, do I believe in God? I believe my God and my Bible are morals and ethics. So if I follow what I believe to be right, it is what it is. Should a man marry a man or a woman marry a woman? I don't give a fuck. The fuck does it affect me? I don't care. Like, what the fuck does it do for me? Now, do I have to go out there and publicly, spend my time supporting it? I'm not going to do that. For example, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed right before my deployment to Afghanistan. And I was a CMOC, NCOSC. So I was a Civil Military Operations Center for the northeast region of Afghanistan, northeast region of Afghanistan. All right. So there was a few provinces, and every civil military, team from my company, we were kind of like the coordinators between the local government, the higher echelons of different national militaries and all that stuff. And I had a member of my team who was homosexual. Everybody knew he was gay. Nobody cared. He didn't come up to us and try to abuse us physically. Like, it doesn't affect my life if he's gay or not. He was fully fucking capable. Probably one of the smartest dudes I've ever worked with, right? However, a few weeks before going to Afghanistan, because we have our mission now, we have orders, we have to deploy at a certain time, he said to me, Alex, hey, real talk, because at this point, you're in a different world. When you go into the special ops, you're talking, first name basis, relaxed grooming standards and all that stuff. And he goes, Alex, I said, what's up, man? He goes, hey, I need to take some time to travel to this state that allows gay marriage so I can marry my husband, okay? Because the benefits are necessary for him to be able to survive here, right? So he can get the housing allowances and the medical benefits and all that stuff while I'm deployed. And I said, well, go for it, man. So, dude, before going to Afghanistan, all this anxiety, all this getting everything ready, all the fucking all of our equipment, all that stuff. I lost a member of my team for a week, for 7 days. That became a problem. But if that's the biggest problem that I had to face, then it doesn't fucking matter to me if he's gay or not.
Right.
Right? Well, how does it affect my mission?
Right.
Does it? I was in Afghanistan with him for 9 months. Did his homosexuality affect my mission? Not at all. So I don't give a fuck if he's gay or not, right? It really just depends on your own, like, your own maturity, right? But it goes back to the same concept, right? So now you have...
Are the people against it? Are these like a bunch of fucking...
Yeah, man. And you did see some backlash on it.
But are these dumb jocks who are fucking egotistical or don't look at my dick. Oh, I can't be in boxers and, in the barracks around this fucking faggot. Like it was... Was it like that? Or was...
Man, I don't...
Are some of these guys more on the religious aspect, and they're just like, dude, when you're gay, that's against Christianity, therefore I'm not with that.
It was more of just a stigma, man. It was,
really?
It was just because at the end of the day, I think people immediately, I think there was conversation about it because this was a few years. This was 2013, right, when it was repealed. I think 2012, 2013, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. But you didn't hear much of it after that. Now, I was an equal opportunity leader, right? So I went through training to identify, or to be kind of like the guy that you go to if you feel discriminated against.
Okay.
Because the military actually set the standard DOD, and it's my understanding based on my training, that the DOD set the standard for corporate America's method of dealing with discrimination, right? So race, gender, color, national origin, and religion were the 5 discriminatory factors. That's it. So if you in any way reprimanded or prevented promotion or promoted, benefited or didn't, right? Or hindered somebody's progress, or just did something that made somebody uncomfortable, created a hostile situation based on race, color, gender, national origin, religion, you have the means to go argue this, and there should be consequences for it. You shouldn't discriminate. The military standard was so high in equal opportunity that the civilian sector, corporate America, adopted DOMIs, the Defense Equal Opportunity program or something like that. DOMI, Defense Military
into
what their concepts are for discrimination, for equal employment opportunity, right? I remember at that point it was really weird for me because I'm one of those guys that, like, you tell me what right looks like, and that's what I'm gonna, that's the path I'm gonna take. I'm a history buff, I'm a nerd, so like this is scientific. Okay, cool. This is the law. Okay, cool. Check that block. But now they started talking about adding your sexual preference to discrimination. That created a legal, like a legal battle for a little while. But eventually, I think it may have actually ended up as the 6th discriminatory factor. You shouldn't discriminate against people based on their beliefs. That's my belief. Okay. So for my teammate, I'm not going to mention his name, that came to me and said, "Hey, I'm gay." I'm like, everybody fucking knew it, bro. Congratulations. I hope you're happy, bro.
Right.
All right. Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up, because not only are you one of the first to deploy, knowing, with your unit knowing, and in the position that you're in on this team as a civil military operations center, like that's, we're a higher echelon than the tactical teams on the ground. I need you to understand that this cannot be a distraction. And he fucking held it together. Bro, like, it doesn't he has a partner.
Yeah.
And the partner has a fucking gender. What does it matter to you? Now, I don't want to discredit people's religious beliefs. If your religious belief is that this is not okay, that's fine. But it doesn't affect your fucking life.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So to a certain point, I'm going to be humble enough to say, okay, if you believe it's wrong, it's not my place to tell you it's not. But if it doesn't affect your life, please don't fuck with him.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was, even from a religious standpoint, if you're that stuck on your religion and it's very non-acceptable of this, and you look at it as a very bad sin or whatever,
then you're radical.
And that, understand this person, no matter what, is part of your team, and your team has a goal, your team has a objective, your team has a standard, your team has so if you let that affect you, you're now now the one who's affecting the team.
What are the factors?
He's not. She's not. You are. If it fucks with you,
did his homosexuality affect
the mission,
our ability to work well together as a team? I was always point man on all of our patrols. I was always point man. He was always the
Did you personally ever have any issues with him? Or
no.
Good. That's
not
great.
at all.
Good. What about with women?
With women, not at all, man. Like, there's such. It was an asset if you learn to accept it.
Right.
They bring.
But I like what you said. I've never heard the point of view. Makes absolute complete sense. I mean, like, fuck, any individual, especially a man, sorry to admit it, anybody should see that no matter what temptations would brew. I did time when I was younger. We had this conversation, and the longer you're away from something, this doesn't apply to everything, but the longer you're away from something that you've already had, that you already tasted, that you already like, that you already favor, the more you're gonna yearn it, And obviously that applies to women. It doesn't even have to be sexual. It can just be the embrace of a woman, the hug of a woman. We all have this weird connection to the being in our mother's wombs and sucking on a titty growing up. You just can't get away from
Isn't there like a smell that like activates
some pheromone, something?
Pheromones.
Yeah,
right?
pheromones.
Like males and females produce like different pheromones that like attract each other. Right?
Yeah, dude. There's so many things there that even you and I don't even know about.
It's science, bro.
I get it, man. I never really thought about that.
It has nothing to do with opinion.
Yeah.
Hey,
so it's not about can she do her job. It's just
at the end of the day, God, forgive me to all the other viewers, right? This is probably the most vulgar thing I'm going to say in the next 2 hours, but a nut is a nut, man, right?
I love it.
Am I wrong?
I mean, yeah, when you look at it like that, when you break it down like that.
What happens when you're out there just eating shit for fucking weeks at a time?
That's fucking hilarious. I love it. Yeah.
Bro, listen. If you don't want to fucking hear the reality of what happens when you're in a fucking training environment for a prolonged period of time or in a combat zone or fucking deployed, guess what, bro? There's fucking porta-johns everywhere, okay? Yeah. And that's where people go to relieve themselves, right? Sexually. Imagine if you have the ability to...
with somebody, whoever it is, whatever.
It's gonna fucking happen. Yeah. There's nothing crazy to fucking argue on a political fucking level. Dude, whoever has a problem with that would have to acknowledge to my face that they wouldn't be in that position, and they would have to prove it to me. That if you were in fucking Fort Polk, Louisiana, right? At the Joint Readiness Training Center. The Joint Readiness Training Center is this fucking monstrosity of land where we go force-on-force combat before we deploy, right? We evaluate our units, right? And you're in the box we call it in the box. When you finally get your fictitious mission to go and do something, tell me that for fucking not months, 2 weeks in the fucking box, you see a female. Doesn't matter. Forget about the ridiculous standards that you hold your Instagram models to, right?
Fuck those.
Immediately, you're gonna say, "Woo, doggy, let's go."
Bro,
right? Joe Rogan stand-up said it, right? You can have a man that has never fucking was born in a fucking box and grew up in a fucking cell. At 30 years old, you let him go and see daylight, and he sees a woman, he's like, "Oh, I gotta fuck it."
Boom. Yeah.
That's exactly what happens.
So look at this prime example, as silly as it is. I mean, you're married and then you have your wife and everything else, a different ballgame, but walking out of the crib from being on this stupid ass makeshift lockdown, this quarantine life. Publix is the goddamn club. Walmart is a strip club. Like, it's, you go to these places. I don't know if the women think the same way, but I know the fellas are like, whoa, look at that. And I know a guy, because I do it. A guy catches himself looking at a female and he's like, holy fuck, I am definitely going through quarantine drama because I just looked at a 5 and fucking checked her out like she was an 8.
People
straight up.
People choose their and this is real, right? This happens, right? So people choose like their gyms or their banks and all that stuff based on like the things,
the traffic of
traffic, right? Yes. Like, whoa, it happens, dog. It is what it is. Forget about the pheromones. I was out of it, bro. It's the end of the month, so mortgages are hard. Yeah. All right, it's easy. It's easy to do the mortgage, but people's anxieties, relationships and all that stuff. So I said, you know what, babe, let's take a day off. I took her to Hillstone. We ate outside and all that stuff because she's pregnant. I don't want to get her sick. And
Hillstone's the meat place?
No, Hillstone and the Gables.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. We used to be the.
It used to be Houston's.
Houston's, that's right.
So and I had a steak. I have fucking steak all the time.
Right.
And I said, bro, this is the best fucking steak of my life. Why? Because I was out. Now imagine that nut, right?
Right, exactly. Got you.
You feel me? Like there's a real.
But it's so what's unfortunate is
now,
unless you've been in the military, in a sports team, to an extent, prison, and then it just goes a little weird there. Maybe a extreme hunter. After that, you can't relate to this. You don't know what it is to be away from something. And then come back and then show a crazy amount of appreciation for something so small.
But the same thing that with the people taking COVID seriously, right? Like,
yeah,
okay, so you see it, but you don't get it, right? So like your argument is that she can do it or, he can do it. Okay, but let's say that they're professional enough and mature enough to not have a sexual relationship with somebody. I mean, statistically, historically, scientifically, like these are all terms that aren't used in political arguments, right? How about that nefarious actor, right? Like, how about their safety? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, fuck it. Let's say, listen, I have been deployed. I have trained with some of the baddest fucking women in the world in the Special Operations Community of the United States Army, right? But they may be mature and professional enough. I know none of them have ever slept with any of their teammates because, I mean, from my experience, right? I know that they have turned down opportunities. I've seen this. I've seen them turn down opportunities to even sleep or have any type of relationship with our counterparts, our joint interagency, intergovernmental, or multinational counterparts, our allies. But who's to say that they are not, threatened? How about their health? How about their safety? Put a woman on the battlefield with 60 fucking immature,
Right.
You know what? Fuck it. Put her on the battlefield with 60 mature men for 60 days. Somebody's going to fucking hit on her. Somebody's going to disrespect her.
Without
Somebody's going to harass her. Yeah. Somebody's going to assault her.
Right.
Hey, if you tell me it's not going to happen and you can, and whatever, you can articulate your argument, I will prove that I'm wrong. I would admit it on fucking live TV, on CNN, bro, if you want.
But you know what? But
at the end of the day, bro, it's fucking reality.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
And in defense, and I know you're not against it, you're for it. But in defense for the women and the equality movement and all that, this same scenario applies to any situation, workforce,
any situation.
You name it. It doesn't matter. If you're there long enough, if it happens.
Getting taken advantage of doesn't.
And it happens to men too. It's just never talking about. It's never talked about.
First of all, the rate or the statistics behind male on male rape and physical and sexual assault and harassment is higher than the rate in the military than the rate of male and female or female and male. You understand that? Do you know how fucking weird that is?
The only reason I know that and believe it so well is because of my prison experience. That's why. And that sounds horrible, but
I've been in so many nations of this world, right? I've dealt with so many multinational partners, like our counterparts from other nations, Korea, Germany, Poland, Oman, different parts of the fucking world, Afghanistan, right? But do you understand that in my experience, from what I knew, from what I saw on paper, more men were harassing and abusing, assaulting men than they were assaulting women. However, given the opportunity, it has a lot to do with the fact that they weren't around. But we are we're an imperfect species, man. We make mistakes. We do things out of a hormonal imbalance. If you understand the human mind, the way the brain works, you don't always think logically. Am I wrong?
100%.
Hey, anxiety comes into play, all this stuff.
As you were saying this, to anybody watching or hearing, please feel free to correct me. Look it up, Google it, leave a comment, let me know. If I'm not mistaken, God, I don't want to mix them up. I believe it's India, might be Thailand. Might be Thailand is worse than India, India's worse than Thailand. They might be head to head. I'm not sure. But somewhere there, the belief in the preteens, 10, I don't know. I think it's all the way through college. I'm really not sure. Please forgive me, anybody listening. But their belief is in the school system that the kids aren't supposed to mix. It's supposed to be segregated.
Okay.
Boys, girls. Their intention is to minimize the sexual buildup that happens in adolescence. Yeah, the distraction, everything that comes with boys and girls mixing up.
That has to do with culture.
So yeah, that's definitely over there for sure, without a doubt. But unfortunately, and I don't want to, hey, who am I? I don't want to down talk anybody else's culture. That's your culture.
I don't want there are cultures of the world who don't believe that women belong in it.
Oh, I mean,
and that sucks.
When we talk about the Middle East and the way they, put, I don't even want to stir that shit up. But anyways,
they discriminate against their own.
What ended up happening was a reverse effect. Now, again, anybody listening, watching, please correct me. Whoever it is that I'm referring to, they have one of the highest, if not the highest, not just homosexual, but undercover for these adolescents, but they have the highest transgender percentile or racial. And this is because I know this from a past experience where I had an ex of like 10 years ago, I don't know, maybe longer. I was helping her do term papers. She had term papers due, lazy bitch, fucking, she was caught up. Oh my God, I got 3 term papers. I got to do them in a week. I'm like, bitch, give me one of them. I'll do them. She gave me like 7 topics to choose from. 6 of them were so whack. And all I saw was sexual orientation. And I'm thinking, me back then, I'm thinking this is like sexual preference. I'm thinking, oh shit, I got to do a term paper about kinkiness? Like people who are freaky, people who are not. Completely wrong. It was basically homosexuality, bisexuality, heterosexuality. That's it. Heterosexuality was the easiest to describe. It is what it is. Bisexuality, believe it or not, was pretty easy to describe too. And I'm not doing it on my own. I'm talking about I'm going deep. I'm trying to give my girlfriend at the time at least a B plus, A. I'm trying to, you know, show out. And bro, I went into a rabbit hole of homosexuality because of so much science behind it, to the extent where now we're accepting of it, you know, and it was just happening back then. Now we're accepting that, apparently, not proven, but some people are born with a certain, whatever it is, inclination, chromosome deficiency. I don't know what it is, but they are born with the favoritism towards homosexuality. And when I went down this rabbit hole, I had such a bigger understanding for homosexuality. The more the story was, a lot of people, especially parents or people of superiority, when they're trying to avoid it, when they're trying to not allow it to happen as much, their methods are wrong. They're only enhancing it. They're only encouraging it.
They're enabling.
And they're enabling it. So whoever I'm saying, Thailand or India, whoever it is that's doing that in any other country that's doing it, separating these kids and doing that is only intensifying the ratio of, okay, that's cool. Now these boys, because they're all used to boys, all I see is boys. That doesn't mean I'm gonna like a boy, but if the average boy acts like this, they act like ABC, whoever 10, 15 percentile that acts like XYZ, the homosexuality will come out of a boy where he's gonna be like, he's attracted to that unknowingly.
Okay.
Because he's not attracted to the male, he's attracted to the difference. Hey, you're different. All we have here is boys, but you're a different boy. I'm attracted to your differences. And now the differences connects him to the male gender and now the homosexuality. So in other words, you're not helping by trying to split up the genders. You're not helping it at all. And this is the type of crazy shit that happens with people who think too extreme.
The thing is that people started talking about gender. Like, why the fuck is it a topic, man? Like, just let people
be. Yeah.
People's personal relationships, people's personal feelings towards something shouldn't affect the way the masses are treated. Is that wrong? Is that
completely
like
agree, brother.
It's very ambiguous. So let's elaborate, right? Like, so, you know, I like fucking scotch, right? And anytime I drink scotch. Unfortunately, for me, for people's perception of me, right, around me, scotch fucks you up a little bit faster than wine or beer does, right?
Right.
But I fucking like scotch. It doesn't bloat me. Wine gives me a headache, right? Does that make me a fucking alcoholic? No. I like to, when I drink, if I drink, because I work so fucking long every day, when I get fucked up, I do drink to relax. Right. And to me, I'm sorry for everybody that this bothers. I like to drink enough to just just only be in like the state of mind of fucking tranquilo.
Yeah.
Bro.
Block out all the
bro. Like, I don't want to get fucking stupid and throw up. And I get uncomfortable. I let people, like, I let my wife, like, hey, I need you to drive, or I need water, baby, like, help me out. But I like to be, the reason I drink is not because I like the taste of scotch. It doesn't bloat me. I don't get a headache. And at the end of the day, bro, it puts me at ease, man. It does something to my mind, to my body. Que me pone bien, you know? Does that make me an alcoholic? But people will fucking say that. Like, bro, just mind your fucking business. You know? You see me, right, in social gatherings. And when you see me in social gatherings, understand something. This is my time off, right? So if every time you see me in this time off, I'm drinking scotch, and you're offended by that because you think I'm hurting myself or hurting others, understand that, 14 days have elapsed that I've been fucking grinding my ass off, and today is my relaxed day, and you just so happen to be a fucking part of it. So, like, people think that what they see in front of them, remember that tunnel vision that we spoke of, a couple of weeks ago. People live in this tunnel vision where they see individual human species, like individual human beings, as characters or as avatars.
Yeah, you spoke that. You said that. You used that. That's
and I'm going to elaborate the fuck out of that, right? So we do live in this situational awareness where people aren't what they really are. If you think about it,
we're at the highest peak now of that.
Think of it at a scientific level. Okay, I mean no offense to anybody when I say this. Please understand that everybody's an individual and everybody has their own way of thinking. Right? This is my way of thinking. Your skin and bones, right? And the fact that your brain is developed to the point where you can think on your own makes you who you are. Right? The soul doesn't exist until I see it. I've never seen a soul. right? But I understand that your brain, the way that everything clicks, makes you think a certain way. And I have to respect, if I want to hang out with you further, if I want to keep hanging out with you, this is the person you are. This is how you carry yourself. This is your morality. These are your morals, your ethics. This is your professionalism. This is your coolness. And I accept it. And therefore, this is how I will see you forever, on. So when we say first impressions are lasting, right? Lasting impressions. It's important because,
it is, right.
Because that's the avatar that somebody would put in their mind. Now, what happens if you step away from that? What happens if, like, you're always the cool, tranquilo, super chill guy, right? And then you just have a fucking moment, bro. You just flip the fuck out on somebody. Like, dog, I can't take your stupid ass fucking stupidity right now, right? Now you're a fucking bipolar.
Right.
No, you're fucking not. I'm a normal dude, bro. I'm super normal. But guess what?
Oh my God, did you see Alex? Oh my God.
Exactly.
Did you see
Alex
that?
flipped the fuck out.
Fucking
Great. No, hey,
crazy.
listen.
He was drinking scotch.
Fucking alcoholic.
He's alcoholic.
On a fucking podcast.
I think he should seek help.
Oh my God. That's a fucking nice ass bottle of scotch.
Yes. Cheers to that, bro.
Scotch. You feel me though? Like, it doesn't fucking make me. Hey, you didn't see me for 14 days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is my time off, and I'm spending it with you because I like you. It's not for you to judge me. And then people so when I say people make avatars of each other, that's a tunnel vision that we live in. People don't realize. Like, okay, let me give you a scenario. You're in traffic. I want you to do this.
What's up, crazy world? You got to be a little loose upstairs if you're following us. But if you're not following us, what the hell are you waiting for? Listen, go ahead, stop what you're doing, pause. You can come right back to this. I want you to subscribe, go to YouTube. I want you to go to iTunes. I want you to go to SoundCloud. I want you to just find any platform that we're on. Follow, listen, show your love and support. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Let's get back to the podcast.
So I want you to focus on something.
Okay.
From the time you're born until now, and I learned this so late, man, and it was so easy to understand once it was told to me, right?
Okay.
Oh, man, this is gonna blow your mind. From the time you're born until now, you've developed what right looks like. Let's call them file folders, right? So you drink out of a glass or out of a cup. You don't drink from the hose because you're a savage if you do, or you're a football player in high school, something like that. Like, you develop what right looks like. Everything.
I grew up drinking from the hose, by the way.
Yeah, 100%.
Just keep it real.
Thirsty, bro. The fucking hose is right there. What the fuck's gonna happen? I got immunities. But think about it. What does right look like? Now, let me blow your fucking mind. Because this goes back to what the fuck does it matter? How does it affect you, right? How does what is happening right now really affect your fucking life? It doesn't, right? So let's say you're in traffic, or better yet, in Publix, or any supermarket, and you're in line to pay. Okay, I challenge you, and anybody listening or watching, the next time that after COVID, that you can actually be 6 feet away from somebody, you could be within a close proximity to somebody.
Okay.
And you're in traffic at a red light, or it's your turn, like, you're like coming up to pay, and the line moves forward, right? There's nowhere to go, right? Because as normality has taught us that there's boundaries you can't cross, right? So you can't cross over the lines. You can't go onto the sidewalk because that's wrong. It's a fictional barrier, right? You can only go forward, and the light says no, you can't go forward. You're at the grocery store and somebody's paying, so you can't pay while they're paying. I want you to stop. I want you to leave a gap, a random ass gap, a 2-car gap in traffic, or a 3 a grocery cart gap at the grocery store, and fucking watch the fucking masses flip the fuck out on you.
They'll flip out on you or follow your lead?
No, they're gonna fucking be like, you're gonna get honked at. Hey, there's a
right in the car, yeah.
Dog, you're at a red light. Nobody's moving. Okay, there's 3 car spaces between you and the person that's at the red light, at the line.
But you're stopping 3 cars ahead.
Okay, the person behind you is gonna start freaking the fuck out. Why isn't he moving forward? Why isn't he taking advantage of all this space? Realistically, can you move forward? Can you go? Can you progress?
You can move forward, but your progression is limited.
Your progression is stopped right there anyway.
Right.
So if there's a white line, and I'm here, there's a car in front of you, and you're back here, and you could fit 3 cars there, do the cars behind you benefit from you actually moving forward? No. But people don't understand that. People get people, in my opinion, I'm speaking for self, their anxiety starts to build when normality is broken.
No, you're right, though. That's accurate.
Bro.
Even if somebody wants to argue in a petty way what you're saying, you're right, though.
You're not fucking going anywhere. But you're going to get honked at. I challenge everybody that's going to watch this YouTube video, right? This podcast, or listen. Next time you're at a fucking grocery store or at a stoplight, it's probably better now since COVID, you know, at a grocery store, you're 6 feet apart. Right. But at a stoplight, I challenge you to stop a few cars ahead or behind the car and ahead of you and watch. The people to your left or right are going to stare at you like you're fucking crazy, right? Hey, listen, your hands are on your steering wheel and you're facing forward. You're not on your phone, distracted, so they can't judge you. But they're going to fucking freak out. It's not normal. So what isn't normal frustrates people, and it becomes divisive. Now you have to be opinionated. What is right and what is wrong? When you break that norm, you should be thinking, what is wrong with the situation that is going to impact me? Not, wow, I'm losing so much space right now, right? So, you know, I call that staying left of bang or staying left of any nefarious activity, where as humans, we talked about higher, a single organization running the world. Remember when we sat and talked about that and all that stuff? But think about it, man. Like your program.
Can't wait to have a podcast that's just pure conspiracy.
Philosophy and conspiracy. I fucking love that shit. As crazy as everybody thinks right now, I'm actually a pretty normal guy.
Nah, you definitely are.
Hey, but think about it, man. Like, how crazy would people be? Like, you'd get honked. It's Miami. Now, this might not happen everywhere, but in Miami right now, if the light turns green and you haven't taken your foot off the pedal, you're going to get honked at. Imagine how fucking crazy people would be if you had 3-car separation between you and the person at the red light. There's no benefit. But people will feel uncomfortable, and they will exert themselves aggressively instead of just being like, this doesn't affect me. This doesn't make a difference in my life. This is not my problem. If he doesn't want to be close to that car, there's probably a fucking logic behind that. There's probably reasoning behind it. He doesn't look to be intoxicated. He's not staring at his phone because I can see through his window. However, he doesn't want to be close to that car. At the end of the day, when the light turns green, I'm going to fucking move. But people will freak out.
So, you know, you make total sense, and it's accurate as hell. And this is applicable in so many ways, in so many different scenarios. I mean, fuck, you can go on forever about that. And it is what it is. But what you're talking like right now is someone who's been in the military, someone who knows better, someone who's been taught, guided, influenced. You've been taught to look at life and every situation, as many situations as possible, differently. This is why, not saying you would be that guy with a baby daddy shirt on, but this is why, you know, the heroes of the world, the people who step up and do that shit that's considered heroic, who, man, during this chaos, you were the only level-headed person throughout what just happened. The chaos can be an accident, could be a shootout, could be
a pandemic,
a
hurricane.
It's so many different things. We're taught, I say we because of my upbringing, my past experiences, but we're taught to deal with things differently, look at them differently, and a great disciplinary approach to it is the example you're using right now.
Analyze the whole situation.
Yeah, if it's not gonna, if it's just a short-term thing, and you're just more like, wait a minute, I'm acting out of hand because of what I'm used to. If you acknowledge that I'm so used to seeing this or expecting this or wanting that, but you know what? This really isn't gonna affect my life like that, and I should just stay chill.
You know what does affect your life? When the masses react in a way that doesn't make sense, right? So like, let's take a look at this pandemic. This happened, you know, internationally. So for some fucking reason, when this popped off, I already knew that regardless of how anybody feels about it, realistically, okay, listen, people are gonna lose money, right? This sucks. I'm very blessed, okay? Interest rates went down, and because of my profession, I'm actually I'm very successful right now. But at the end of the day, if I had any other job, right, I wouldn't be as blessed. And people were freaking out, right? But when this popped off, what was the first thing to go from all the grocery stores?
We already know.
Toilet paper.
It's oh my God. It just shows how fucking stupid we are.
But why
the masses?
Dog.
Of all things.
What the fuck?
Not batteries. Not water.
Why do you need extra batteries? Your power's not going out.
I mean, yeah, I know, right?
Are you pooping more than you were before?
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what happened? People are so accustomed at least in Miami, I know this happened all over the world, but I'm going to speak for myself. I'm going to speak for I know.
Hurricane.
During a hurricane,
Yeah.
when you see people go in boarding windows, you go into boarding windows because that's going to save it. And it does. When you see people getting water, it's because you're not going to have the access to potable water, which is clean water, right? When people buy batteries and flashlights, it's because power is going to fucking go out, bro. It's a hurricane. We live in Miami. Sucks to suck, right? That mentality, that file folder that we built when this thing popped off, and there were already, we were being prepared by our representatives in our local and state and municipal governments that we were going to be quarantined. We were going to be asked to stay home and stay away from other public, areas.
Something that's never been
Something
done.
that hasn't happened. But it does, in our experience, we do that when we have a natural disaster. We don't go out, right? So what did people fucking do? They bought toilet paper, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know how much fucking toilet paper I have in my house right now that I haven't used yet? Because, I even fell into this paradigm.
Did you?
Wow. So my wife's grandmother gave a pack of toilet paper to my wife's brother, my brother-in-law, and then was freaking out, even though she had stacks, that she had to replace that pack. Because, please, in the comments, right. Did anybody ever run out of toilet paper?
During
this pandemic? Who ran out of toilet paper? But bro, it was a thing, right? I'm not crazy.
Right.
I saw it more. I'm not crazy. Toilet paper was a fucking thing.
I don't think I had to use paper towels.
That's because when people see, the masses reacting to something in a certain way,
right,
they know that that's the right way to do things. So when Irma was coming,
they don't know they think it's the right thing. They follow the lead.
They follow the lead. So we ran out of fucking toilet paper because everybody bought fucking toilet paper in bulk. If everybody just bought the normal amount of toilet paper, we would have toilet paper. It would have never run out.
So let me ask you something.
But then we hinder our own progression, man. We regress based on our own file folders, our own paradigms, our own tunnel vision, our own inexplicable actions. We make such harsh decisions right away that we don't we don't focus on what is the logic here. Hey, look, it's two of me and my wife live in the house together. Okay, coincidentally, my mother-in-law bought a property. And she was renovating it, so she was living with us. So we got 4 people. We need about this much toilet paper. We're probably going to be quarantined for a few months. Normal amount. No, people were buying fucking pallets of toilet paper because, bro, water. There's a fucking pandemic, dog. Your water is not going away.
So you understand that this is a prime example. This is a prime example of why the government. And wow, I got something to update everybody listening right now. I'm sure by the time they hear the podcast, they would have read or heard the same thing I have. But this is a prime example why the government does not tell the public
everything,
especially shit like aliens, wars. I don't know, just crazy shit that as we see, look what the fuck happened.
It creates chaos.
Toilet paper, out of all things, is what went off the shelf more than anything else during this pandemic. So they don't want to tell us things because we act like that. Because there's an actual, I forgot what the science was behind it, or maybe the psychology was behind it, but there's some type of term, or maybe even a very technical reference of people do what the masses do out of some type of
hysteria.
Yeah, but well, yeah, that is hysteria. But if everybody else is doing it, there's something that's meant. I don't know. It's a term. It's a term. Man. Yeah, it's a
You're steered in the direction of the masses.
By the way, coinciding with what I was alluding to earlier, the government just said today, finally, I'm not, I'm like, been on that. They're acknowledging that they have recovered. They are now acknowledging that they have recovered in the past. The way they worded it was flying vehicles,
unidentified vehicles, that there's evidence of some sort of
they have
unexplicable.
That is clearly made from a different world.
All right, bro. Hey, listen,
and they acknowledge it today.
So I'm a nerd.
Woo! Can't wait for these aliens to just fucking be all on blast.
And if you know me, then you know that I'm like a huge fan of becoming a multiplanetary species, right?
Okay.
So
say that whole term again. Multiplanetary species.
Multiplanetary species.
Woo! Somebody hashtag that shit. Multiplanetary species.
Musk, that's a regular Elon Musk believes it's the reason SpaceX exists is not to fucking commercialize trips to the fucking International Space Station. That's
right.
That's crap. Okay?
Even though you got a bunch of rich people that want to do that as well.
Bro. Hey, listen, it works out because it's cheaper now to put a satellite in space, and satellites are effective when it comes to communication and stuff. But this dude's goal was always, the mission statement of his business was always to become a multiplanetary species. Listen, there's not a civilization in our history that has survived. We spoke about this briefly as well. What the fuck is the point of the pyramids? Bring me a scientist right now, right, that can tell me what the pyramids were for. Are they tombs? Are they power? Are they power to supply power? Are they, you know, a remembrance of, or is it some type of astronomical, you know, study because they're aligned with some stars and stuff like that? It doesn't fucking matter. We don't know. A civilization disappeared that cannot explain to us why they built or fucking how they built these ridiculous, perfectly geometric structures with each block weighing so many fucking hundreds of tons and all this stuff. Like, you cannot explain to me how it happened, why it happened, right? So the Roman Empire, you know, they build aqueducts and the Colosseum and all this stuff. Please explain to me the logic that civilization disappeared. Like the Aztecs, you know, we have so many assumptions of the history of the Aztec Empire, but the Aztec civilization disappeared, right? Do you fucking believe that in the 250 years of the United States existence, right, that we're fucking so far into what, you know, the civilizations that we're never going to fucking disappear? Imagine other civilizations in our history, in our million-year history,
right,
4 billion years, something like that,
so in other words,
that the Earth has existed.
The pattern that has been established, according
empires,
according to historical events, we're going to be
eventually, not right now. I don't think it's going to happen in.
You know, we don't know when, but you're supposed to think, unless we get our asses out of this planet and living outside of our planet, like somewhere else or on a ship, we're going to face the same destruction. At some point.
2 very important points, right? One, history repeats itself, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that history repeats itself means that our civilization will not forever exist as a capitalist, you know, or a society where, like, we live to own land and make money and, like, cultivate and eat and you know, have a job and all that stuff. Like, eventually we will have to evolve into something because we're going to use up all the resources of the earth. If we keep growing, scientific, like, you know, it's fact. It's not fucking crazy to assume that we won't have enough land mass. Even if global warming were true or not true, I have no fucking opinion. I don't give a fuck. You know, like, it is what it is. Like, you know, there's different cycles in the way the earth travels around the sun and all that stuff. Like, it does warm up. We might cause that. But at some point, you have to assume that if we keep growing as a populace, we're going to consume all the resources of the earth. So our next move is to go beyond and go into explore and to develop ourselves as a multiplanetary species. Like, there's no fucking logic against that. Am I wrong? Am I crazy to say?
Not at all.
Like, our progression, our not even.
But I'm gonna sound like a lunatic with you.
Let's forget about the other civilizations. The Aztec Empire, the Mesopotamian, the Egyptians, and before them. Let's forget about our ancestors.
Hold on. Let me pause you real quick.
Species of Homo sapiens, right?
Look, before you go too deep into that, because I'm into that, you're into that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there into that. But you know how small that portion is. So here's what was the bigger problem with the world today. There's so much, and I'm using the term loosely. There's so much entertainment out there. Mm-hmm. Anything to get your mind.
It's all psychological.
Yeah, but you have to be into somewhat any of these realms of space, technology, whatever it is. You have to be into that. Yeah. You have to have a certain passion. To give a fuck about it enough.
To respect it.
To respect it, research it, take in some information, watch certain shows. Otherwise, what I think the masses, I don't know what the percentage is, bro, I'm going to jump the gun and be like easily 80% of the world gives zero fucks. They just, what's happening right now?
Go to work.
What's on Instagram? Let me go to work, 9 to 5. What the fuck? That's it. They don't care. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about interplanetary. They're not thinking about none of that. So their opinions, you know, I think our governments, they all know what's up.
Tame the masses.
And they all know that they can only give us so much. Russians might be a little bit more aggressive. Chinese might be a little bit more reserved. U.S.
call
whatever.
these empires,
But
right?
yeah. But they all know. They all know. This ain't no secret. Well, I don't know. But whatever it is, however long they've been in contact with aliens or other species, or
Well, I don't think they've made contact. And I have an opinion based on the aliens.
I mean, I do. But regardless, the fact that they're now finally saying shit, I'm gonna give Joe Rogan a huge slap on the ass. My brother, you are the fucking man. You're a big reason why there's movements going on right now, because you're bringing these people onto your show. Hence why
I was going to mention Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and the fact that they were on a podcast together.
Bro, this
explain my next thought.
This is why I'm so passionate about the podcast itself. And this is why I admit, that I try to emulate, but with my own style, Joe Rogan. And I don't want to say that these guys that do what he does, he's a little bit on his own, but the Neil deGrasse's and things of that nature, I want to get people on here to be able to talk about things that normally are not heard by the masses.
Think outside the box.
Yeah, well, most of the time, somebody like you can only talk like this with a few, 2 or 3 other me's or 2 or 3 other yous, and most people don't want to hear this shit because they're too entertained. Right now, Joe Rogan is really leading the world. And hey, did you know? Hey, did you hear? Hey, guess what? Since you're fucking so tuned in to the shit that I do, let me bring this fucking nerd on who's gonna blow your mind about this and blow your mind. And we're finally realizing, and I think finally the government's like, okay, we can't hide this too much more anymore. Too much footage. Everybody's got a fucking iPhone or a Samsung or whatever that can catch anything in the air. We just can't avoid it anymore. Let's start telling everybody little by little. But I just think it's already been happening for a while.
One, Joe Rogan and one of his stand-ups said, and it was it was hilarious, but it was true. 3 people ago, we developed this great nation, right? A unity amongst 50 states. If you go anywhere else in the world, the state is a country, right? So we have 50 individual nations that became a union, and we are the United States of America. 3 fucking people ago. My grandfather's father, or not mine. I'm a Cuban descent.
3 generations,
homie. 3 people ago, we went from dresses with like weird fucking looking pants and muskets with no rifling, so the bullets wouldn't, the rounds wouldn't even go straight, and black powder, to, I can tell you, right, what next month's weather is gonna fucking look like on my iPhone. 3 fucking people ago. Okay?
Right.
So what other civilizations did in our history that no longer exist in their 300 or 400 years of existence each, right? Maybe thousands. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter, right? It doesn't exist anymore. The pyramids exist for a fucking reason, and we can't tell why, right? iPhones are going to be trivial as fuck 100 years from now. If there's an algorithm of how, like, Intel and Raytheon and all these like computer chip companies are struggling with continuing this algorithm, but you're supposed to double the capacity or the speed at which you compute information with technology every year. If we continue on that path, we went from the iPhone 1 in like to the early 2000s to now we can literally like see each other, on our fucking watches and shit. Right. And it's only taken like 10 years for that to happen. But we've only really existed as like an empire in the United States for like maybe 200, 250 years. Like, you understand how little of a time frame that is? It's 3 fucking people, right? Imagine where the fuck we're going to be 10, 15, with the rate at which technology is progressing, right? People need to step away from that fucking political divide and understand that as a civilization, right, you have to be able to care for yourself and your circle by working, right? You have to have income in order to provide and to do something. But there's a fucking higher calling. We're going to eventually have to leave and go. We have the ability to do so. Why the fuck not? And habitate Mars, which is what Elon Musk is trying to accomplish.
Let me ask you something. Now, while you were in the service, I know, again, because of old prison, experience, you got so much time on your hands to talk about so many things, like what we're talking about now. Yeah. Is this something that you guys were heavily influenced for reasons that we don't know, public or civilians, or is this more something like
nobody talks about aliens?
No,
nobody. Not a single. I honestly, like, I got super lit one night, and I started like,
Even
watching.
throughout your whole time, and every time you went to many different countries.
It might be a thing.
No, but I'm saying you went to many different countries.
Yeah.
You guys never fucking saw something where it was like, yo, and then it just led into that conversation. No,
not with that. Not with like talking about, you know, another being from another planet or something like that. But think about something else that I want to tell you. That I don't know who it was that said it. I don't think Elon said this. I'm a huge fan of Elon.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm not going to tell you. It's not because I think he's like a billionaire that's smart. It's because he worked really hard to get where he's at, right? The things that he does make sense. He's the first American manufacturer of fucking automobiles since fucking Ford that is successful.
Which was 1800. Ford was 1800.
In the last 100 or 200 years, nobody has been able to mass produce vehicles at the capacity which he is. And what's he doing? He's like low key fucking up the gas vehicle, the combustion engine,
right?
Low key fucking the combustion engine up, and he's bringing electric vehicles. Be like, hey, stop fucking with the atmosphere, okay? Right. We need to focus on like habitating another planet because we're gonna fucking die if we don't, right? So this guy is just so focused on working. He doesn't bring politics into the pic. He's making buku millions. He spends it like he fucking makes it. It's fine, right? It's fucking, bro. If you earned it, go do it. But at the same time, he's focused. We're going to Mars. If we're going to go to Mars safely in a way that makes sense, we need to build a big enough fucking spaceship for people to be comfortable in for 9 months, however long it's going to take to get there. Right. And we got to fuel them, and we got a good car and all that stuff. And he's doing it because nobody else did. But we could have done this shit fucking long ass time ago. Right. Right? We could have had electric vehicles a long time ago. All this stuff. So I respect the fuck out of him. But somebody, and I really can't remember who it was, so I don't want to quote who it was, but I will say that I did hear this. If we did have an encounter with an extraterrestrial species, an extra or outer planetary species that's not from Earth, do you really think that it's going to be in a capacity that is like favorable? No. Like, why would we go and explore a different planetary system? Because we have to. Right. We're going to fucking moon because we want to know we can. Like, the reason, by the way, that we went to the moon in the first place is because Russia orbited the moon, and we're like, hey, no, we're bigger and better, and we got to be bigger than you. It was a race, but there was like no fucking like logical scientific reason. That's why apparently they faked it. We know there was nothing on the moon, right? So we went just to show our ability, and there is logic behind being able to put satellites in orbit and your military capability because of that when it comes to intelligence or weapon systems and all that stuff, and show a force and who has the bigger dick, whatever. But now we're going to Mars, not to explore. We've already explored Mars. We have rovers on Mars. We have so many different rovers on Mars that we even have people dedicated to like unfucking them when they get stuck in a fucking sandpit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We're going to go live and make it habitable. All right. His philosophy or his mentality, as I understand it, and I could be wrong because I'm not going to speak for him. I'm going to speak for how I understand his philosophy is, if we don't become a multiplanetary species, our civilization will die. Every civilization before us has died. Borderline guaranteed. That's it. Yeah, it's guaranteed. And it could be a natural disaster. It could be a military bullshit. It could be fucking coup. It could be anything. Right. But if we don't become that, then that's it. And so at that point, let's say it's 100 years from now. Okay. Do you think that the politics between the United States, Russia, Iran, and China fucking matter? No. It's, hey, listen, as a civilization, our roles are no longer to buy fucking real estate in Miami. Our role is, how do we become a part of the process? How do we become scientifically inclined to become an enabler for our civilization's ability to dominate space?
So I think that history has taught us that before we get to that point, that we're realizing, hey, we wasted too much time doing everything before this. We need to get focused on prolonging our races. Our races, existence by, basically colonizing somewhere else. We did it on our planet until we got everywhere. Now we got to do it on outside of our planet. So, but who's to know? Because there's so much, there's so much. I don't know. I don't see conspiracy. There's so many stories as
it's not in the realm of reality.
Well,
so let's talk about what's here in front of us instead of like.
What I'm saying is from the pyramids to the city of Atlantis to Machu Picchu to
the Stonehenge
to the Mayans. You name it. All of them. It in some shape or form. The minute they got somewhere and they're really this and that, boom.
Hey, dog.
nature took its course. Nature being what I would think is meteorites.
We don't know.
Natural disasters.
We don't know, but coincidentally, the pyramids do line up with like some fucking astronomical.
I know.
And like
I don't bring it up
and
because it's too far, but I know.
And it's impossible as fuck that they got those, those blocks there. And like Stonehenge, it's like really fucking weird that it lines up with some other astronomical thing, and like it's so heavy. Like how the fuck,
Right.
And then there's Easter Island with all these fucking giant heads.
Right.
What were they mimicking? Like,
because
art is art. Like when you do art, like you mimic something. So like, what were they doing? They think it's hey, dog. It's fucking weird that it got done. Like, did they have cranes? What was their system of doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, but what we're talking about is how did they do it instead of they did it and they died. They don't exist anymore. Forget about the fucking science behind how they got there. Like, they disappeared. All right? We have built monstrosities of fucking, statues that are getting taken down. Or empires and metropolises. But we're not fucking focused on... If we saw an alien race, do you really think that they're going to come here and be like, hey, yo, we want to get along? No, they need the resources. Like, if we would have had an encounter with any extraterrestrial alien, right? Alien being outside of the norm, right? Outside of our world, race or species, do you think they would have come to Earth to be like, hey, yo, how do y'all make pizza? No, they'd be like, hey, they're going to come in a hostile force. I want to say hostile, though. The United States exists because explorers came here looking for a better world or a new world. Actually, Columbus came here looking for India. He fucked up, right? So he called everybody Indians. He was looking for a fucking trade route for spices. But coincidentally, greed, in my opinion, we exist as a new world, right?
What's up, folks? Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective, Season 2, baby. If this happens to be your first time watching or listening, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode. And once again, guys, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, everyone out there, for all the amazing support. And a big shout out to my man Hector and his entire team over there at Driver Shop USA. If you guys follow me on IG or live in this beautiful city of Miami, you'll be able to catch the dope-ass wrap job that was done to my Chevy Colorado truck. Not only did they wrap the entire truck to protect its original paint job, they then slapped on multiple high-quality logo wraps on all sides so that I can remind those of you who are looking to tune in to the best new podcast. From boats to motorcycles to automobiles of all kinds, Driver Shop USA is continuously redefining luxury. Now let's get back to the podcast. Okay, so it's not to cut you off, but here's what I try to, I guess, the picture I try to paint. Maybe not even a picture. Here's the pill that I'm trying to force people to swallow, okay? I used to do this with religious people. I'm not going on the religious hinge, but I used to do this with religious people. I used to say, hey, you believe in the automobile that you're driving in. You believe in the protective system, the seatbelt system. You put the seatbelt on. You believe in the brake system. You believe in everything that you believe in it because you're traveling 60, 70 miles an hour, the wrong person, 80 miles an hour.
And you trust that whoever evaluated this said that it's fine. You're going to survive no matter what.
So you do, without a doubt, believe in science and technology. You take this plane, you take this bus, you put this phone against your ear that you know might be causing some type of radiation, so on and so forth. So
it's not enough to hurt you, right? Because the government evaluated it and said so.
You're believing in those who are smarter than you and us and the majority, because those are the ones who are leading the forefront and taking us to this progression as a human race. So why would you challenge them, rhetorical question, to religious people, why would you challenge them when these same scientists, these same technologically advanced people say something that challenges your faith, but you're believing everything else that they do? That I have a problem with. But ignore that. Now, let's apply that same concept to this alien talk that we're doing. Well, all I'm saying is this, and this goes out to the masses, to anybody listening, watching, friends, foes, haters, whatever. Please leave a comment, holla at me, DM me, do what you want to do. Hit Alex up. Yeah, whatever, anybody.
Professionals.
If the government, like we talked about earlier, if the government is now saying, hey, One, we know through Joe Rogan. If you don't know, then motherfucker, you're in a bubble that not a lot of people are in. Okay, so
you're in the comfort zone.
If you don't, you're in a comfort zone where
you're not willing to escape.
Sorry, I'm not talking to you. The other people.
Yeah.
If you watch enough Joe Rogan, if you see some highlights, if you watch the news, somebody somewhere told you, "Hey man, did you hear?" From the Bob Lazar story to Area 51 talk to whatever you want to talk about to the
first of all,
to what they call the Tic Tac.
Nobody was gonna storm Area 51.
Oh yeah, that was pussies.
If
I was into that shit, I would have went hardcore, and then I would have got left by myself, and I would have hated everybody.
Instagram Live, bro.
Yeah. But if you believe that the government, I know they lied to us. I'm a firm believer they lied to us. No, but if the government is now
tell you the whole truth.
Yeah, if the government is now acknowledging, hey, yeah, that TikTok, the Tic Tac thing that was recorded by the Navy pilots in 2014. These are credible captains, lieutenants, people who've been in the service for fucking 12, 15 years.
What makes them credible? The fact that they're captains?
No, the fact that they've been in there that long and they got to that rank.
How they articulated what they saw.
No, the fact that they put that much time in.
Okay.
8, 5, 10 years.
Their skills in flying and
their
their articulation
observation.
of their observation are two different things.
I put that all in perspective.
Okay. I believe in aliens, so just so you know, I believe that we're not the only species.
Yeah, and I'm sure that anybody who wants to go against the grain is going to say, like, oh yeah, like what Alex is saying right now.
But again,
we
go back to the file folders of we're going to respect these professionals because of their experience and because we know that their integrity,
bro,
is there.
There's a medical term that means it's in support of what you're saying. We're so used to seeing and acknowledging and reacting and doing this and that, file folders that you're referring to, that when we see a certain something
anomaly,
we immediately relay it to this and assume
if you
that
see an anomaly, you immediately refer to nefarious activity. We took a quick little break, but you did mention that you and I don't agree on the same topic, right? If we had any evidence,
it's not that I'm. Hold on, real quick. Let me stop you. There's no disagreement,
right?
What I'm entertaining further, that I don't hear enough people say because it's so outlandish. It's such a hard pill to swallow. It's too big of a plate to eat. Mm-hmm. Is what if the same way patterns, the same way as a human race, that which we can acknowledge historically through all the supporting facts that we have, scripts, tablets, whatever. Yeah. If as a human race, if all we did within our planet was expand, colonize, procreate, all that stuff, and we did it. If you look at that pattern within the planet, if you had the ability, like we're attempting right now, we're attempting it in front of our very own eyes. We're trying to do it interplanetary, right? Mm-hmm. We just seem very limited. We're only on Moon and a little bit on Mars. We're not touching Mars, but the rovers are. We as a species are touching the Moon, so we're making movements. If we never died as a human race, if we don't get hit by a meteor, if we keep advancing at the pattern that we're going, eventually we're going to keep planet hopping, right? And we're going to look for somewhere else to live. Right. Same way we did when we were all stuck in Africa, when we were all stuck in Middle East, whatever. Same thing.
Pangea shit. Not like Africa because it's, no.
There you go.
Pangea shit. Exactly. Like we evolved from the Stone Age up to the technological age that we're in now.
Now, if we did all that and we took it to the next level, like I mentioned earlier real quick when I was fucking with the cameras, as a human race, we made a liger. That's a lion mixed with a tiger. We have no evidence of anything of that ever existing until we did it as a human race. Mm-hmm. We watched them for so long, both species. We thought, man, they're so similar. What if we encaged them? What if we tamed them? What if we mixed them? Boom, now we got this.
Therein lies your problem.
Hold on, no, there's no problem. What I'm saying is if we did it as a human race, and if we went further, if we never got altered, like what we think human species before us happened to them. If we kept going, we would keep doing the same thing, and we would want to extend our human race. Right. Okay. The same way we have multicultures.
In the same way that we have, so like empire, all kind of like the Star Wars shit, where like you have the empire and the rebellion.
Since we're not there yet, but we see we're getting there now. If the government now acknowledges, hey man. And even though I think they're lying and they're only giving us a little bit at a time, just put the head in. That's what she said. Just put the head in. Just a tip. If all they're doing is giving us a tip, and that's, yeah, man, We are officially telling all you fucking psychos out there that we have recovered multiple UFO anomalies that basically is flying vehicles that were not made on this planet. So do what you want with it. All right, we just swallow that pill. I'm hoping. Most people are like, okay, the government said it's probably pretty accurate. I think it's accurate. I just think they're holding back. If there is an actual vehicle that shows the proof that someone flew their ass over here and it wasn't us, if you now swallow that pill, just that little fucking ibuprofen, in my opinion, you have to entertain the fact that it was very possible that they've been coming here for multiple years. And if they did, why wouldn't they not have done what we are showing the pattern to be doing very soon? If they have the ability to get here from another planet, another dimension, another universe, or maybe within our own Milky Way, if they have the ability to get here, something that we can't do, and the only facts that we have is their spaceship, we now have to accept that, man, they might have been coming here for years. Man, now it makes sense about these hieroglyphics, these pyramids, these abilities. Now things start, little puzzles are starting to come together. And now, in my opinion, you have to entertain the fact that this is the pill that nobody wants to swallow. They might have made us, us as a human race. They might have literally made some weird hybrid of mixing us with what we know existed. Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, whatever.
But to survive, because we're a survival species. Like we do things to survive. Like
they might have made us enslave us, is what I think.
Well, that's fine to survive.
Makes sense. Yes, they need a slave to help survive.
Fine.
It's true.
Hey, listen, I'm a huge advocate of racial fucking, accepting the fact that different races have been discriminated against, and like we need to do things to reciprocate for our actions and our history. Right? I'm not at fault for how different races were treated in the past, but we do need to do things to make them feel like they're important, because that's important to every fucking individual, right? But let's use that logic, right? One, we don't have the technology to exit our solar system. So if another species has the technology to enter our solar system, we're fucked, okay? Because we cannot dominate them. If you understand technology and science and the way science works, right? If you're not at my level, you're fucked, right? The reason that we are the most dominant military power in the world is because we have the best scientists, the best engineers. We have the best soldiers and fucking Marines and airmen and fucking seamen, all right? And now SpaceX is whatever the fuck, spacemen, whatever the fuck they call them, right? Coast Guardmen. Listen, we have the best military in the fucking world. However, what happens when you cannot meet your enemy or your adversary on the battlefield with the same capability? If another species is entering our solar system, they are already so advanced that they traveled so fucking far. Do you know what a light year is? Like, let's be fucking real here. We see the movies, so like we think they look like us, right? But do you understand, like, the fucking complexity of traveling going to Mars takes 9 months at our current scientific advancement, right? Like, our technological advancement, okay? Another thing, if you understand science, if you understand atoms and the molecular, at a molecular level, who's to say they look like us?
Right.
Who's to say that their vehicles, their transportation systems even replicate anything that we know or understand to be alien? Right? Who's to say that they're not doing what you just said? Because I agree. I think we're at a place, and we're at a place where we have to accept the fact that science is real. And if you understand the complexity of the universe at a level outside of the bubble that you fucking live in, where you go to McDonald's for fucking breakfast and you go to fucking Wendy's for lunch and you come home and you make love to your wife and you go home, you go to sleep and you make a certain, like, if you understand the fucking size of the universe.
Man, what a life. McDonald's, Wendy's.
I love that shit.
Make love to your wife.
I'll tell you, the reason I say that because it's my guilty pleasure. McDonald's breakfast is my guilty pleasure. However, think about that. I can't travel, the world's top scientists cannot travel outside of our solar system and communicate. So if we were being engaged in any capacity by any extraterrestrial or alien species, who's to say that they look like us? Because we evolved based on the conditions on Earth. Like we were, if you look at the history of our planet, the 4 billion year history of our planet, like we were tadpoles. And eventually, like tadpoles moved on to different things. There were giant spiders, and there was a fucking like apocalypse, and Earth got fucking hot again, and then the Earth cooled down. It was Pangea, and Pangea separated with the tectonic plates, and then, you know, like different species, you know, went into different world, you know, different paths on the molecular level and DNA, and, you know, eventually apes became, it's evolution. Right? What if a different planet was made of fucking aluminum, and like the evolution on that planet was different, and it's not a visual. It's not something that we as humans can see. Like, who's to say that? If you can travel into our solar system, you are dominating us already. Right. If you can get to the moon, okay, fuck you. Like, you're not that cool. Like, we can get to the moon. But if you can travel into our solar system, we're fucked. Like, we're already being dominated.
Well,
and we don't even know what it should look like.
The only thing that I don't like is the way that you're referring to that in regards to, like...
It's scary for me.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking for self.
Because
I'm an American, and we're dominant now.
Well, because we all know the Spider-Man saying with great power comes great responsibility. So, you know, typically... the stronger you are, the more abusive you are, the more of the bully, the more you want to take over. So we tend to apply that to what...
To other species. Maybe other species are like really cool. Like,
they exactly.
Don't want to fuck with us that hard, you know?
Us as a human race, we've done that.
They're watching us, and like they're keeping us from like, you know... maybe they're keeping us from us like becoming exist. Like maybe they're like just throwing things at us sometimes like to just keep us alive.
You know what's crazy? You have some of this, and this is the scary part about what kind of conflicts with what I was just saying, because I'm not going to be a hypocrite. You got some of the smartest people in the world, scientists, physicists, whoever it is, saying that, hey, man, if and when that we prove that aliens do exist, and if and when we prove that they have touched down, they do come here, whatever, you guys better be more scared than not. There's some of the smartest nerds in the world saying that because of what we're talking about. Because with power
comes great responsibility,
and no one knows how to handle it. So they're gonna end up wanting to say, "Hey, we're the dominant species here. You guys abide under what we say to abide."
All right, man. And then again, so you say that in a way that if you were to interpret that, you'd be like, "Fuck, we got to get ready. Like we got to prepare." But, you know, fear is not necessarily a negative. It doesn't have to be this thing that you have to reciprocate for, right? Like, you don't have to make up for fear. Like, maybe, hey, listen, if there's a species out there that can make it into our solar system with their technological advances and they have a plan, it hasn't to this day shown that it's not benefiting us. Like, we're only progressing. We're not regressing. We're not going back into a nomadic species that, you know, like goes out and fucking hunts and cultivates with fucking bows and arrows. Like, we're only progressing technologically. So yeah, you have to fear it because you're not advancing as fast as maybe they would want you to. But if you're going to use the theory that another species is actually manipulating our society, you have to accept the fact that you better be on pace. Right? Because if not, they're going to have to force the hand. Because anything that you do that is beneficial to you, whether it's your business, yourself as an individual, when you see yourself slipping, you force it. Right? Does that make sense?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Yeah. Another thing, if you think that it's a secret that's so well kept, there's not a fucking thing that is so well kept nowadays, right? Like, so like by now, at least one person would have been like, hey, look, here's proof. Like, we're fucking human. We're not alien.
Yeah, but I think that's happened many times though.
But show me like real proof, not like this thing that. So
who gets the real proof? The same people who are governing all of us. The same people who decide. The masses cannot know about.
The people who are governing the masses can constrain and restrict that proof. But if you can show me in physical form as opposed to like a video, I can alter a video. I've learned enough off of YouTube to be able to make my brand. This is my brand, guys. YouTube, pay attention. TMG Mortgage is gonna fucking make it, right? But I can put that on video, and that's recognizable. But if you can show me to my face that this exists, I'd be like, okay, for sure. Now I do believe. Listen, the universe is fucking magenta. Like it's huge. I just saw an article not too long ago that there's a wall. There's literally like a wall with of different solar systems or something like that in our own galaxy that doesn't let us see past it to like really see the full effect of the universe. And if you actually understand the science behind the Hubble telescope and all that stuff, we're not seeing right now, we're seeing things that happened millions of years ago because it takes that long for light to travel.
Right.
So like I get it and all that stuff. But at the same time, do you not feel like maybe, like just at a very basic level, like somebody would have come out and snitched? Hey, like real talk, I used to be the director of this, and this guy pissed me off, so I'm gonna tell you there's aliens.
So if you're
we're fucked.
If you're into that world,
do you
like I am, and I have been. I just tone it down because there's so many more things I got to do important in life, to survive and do what I do. But when you choose to go down that rabbit hole, yes, all that shit that you're asking for, yes, there's been many people who have. Many people.
Said things.
Many people. Bro, it's like, here's my quick argument, the worst comparison, but the best worst comparison. Jeffrey Epstein. That's it, right?
Super sack of shit. Right. Okay. Being. I hate everything he did.
And now we don't know.
But he didn't kill himself.
Okay, right. And we don't know at all what the fuck
really happened.
We don't know what's gonna happen because homegirl just stepped up, his wife's assistant, whatever the fuck she is.
Got caught.
She says she's gonna snitch on everybody. We don't know if she's gonna get killed. If she gets killed, it's going to be just like Jeffrey Epstein. The world got nothing to say. Hey, Jeffrey didn't kill himself. Oh, the government's hiding something. Oh, shit, celebrities are sex trafficking. And then 2 months goes by, and then that's it. It's over. We're not talking about it no more.
So that's news cycles, and we'll touch on that. But the thing about that is that's very selective. Like, you're talking about an individual who committed crimes against humanity, right? So I do believe in crimes against humanity. You should never abuse
either mentally or physically. But look, Alice, what I'm saying is this.
We're never going to know because somebody made it happen, right?
No, well, yeah, I guess if you're kind of rocking with what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to allude to is...
Who is doing that about aliens?
What I'm trying to tell you is, at the end of the day, the governing bodies, the superiors, forget about rule, they have the ability to sweep it all under the rug. Mm-hmm. That's just it.
Do you know how?
So we're just not gonna know until they choose to let us know, unless you individually see one, record one, whatever. Exactly. And even then,
so it's
you can blast it and talk about it like so many other people have, and then it's gonna make you feel like you're crazy, you're lying, you're this and that, until they want us to be like, all right, man, there's too much out there. Yeah. There's a little bit of this. Now you guys can just feed off of that until we come back.
Well, and the same thing is the same thing is going on with relations with the fucking law enforcement, man. Like, all right, let's start from the beginning. In a presidential election year, right, at a time where Bernie and Joe Biden were the two predominant Democratic figures to be the face of the Democratic Party, to run for president against somebody who a huge majority of this nation doesn't accept, right? So Trump, right? Mm-hmm. COVID hit. And dog, this is literally in the middle of Bernie and fucking Biden, right? Nancy, Trump, everybody just said, hey, you know what? Fuck that. Fuck this shit. These niggas are these dudes are irrelevant. Right? Let's please edit that out. These dudes are irrelevant. Everybody stay the fuck home. I'm gonna send you some money. All right? Don't bitch. Shut your ass up. Forget about the election. I'm sending you money. All right? Businesses, shut your fucking doors. I'm sending you money. In a presidential we're in 2020. Things are the fucking most hostile that they have ever been in politics, with the exception of Vietnam, right? Mm-hmm. Where politics were really bad, and the Civil War, where politics were really bad. In 2020, in a presidential election year, everybody said, stay the fuck home. I'm sending you money. Businesses, shut your fucking doors. I'm sending you money. Banks, lower your rates so that people can continue to fucking buy. Right? Have you ever seen that happen? This happened all over the world because it was real. Because the actors, right, those figures, those avatars we see on TV that represent us or whatever the fuck we know to be reality, right? They came to their senses like, yeah, it's not about me. It's not about my paycheck, my status. No. Hey, look, like real talk, we could like all die. Don't you think that would have happened by now with aliens? Like, don't you think that by now, as a civilization, we would be like, hey, look, check it out. We know enough that we have to do something about this.
Do what?
Anything.
Do what?
Defense.
Sit back and watch.
Sit back. Honestly, yeah, sit back and watch.
But that's really all that can be done. I think
that's all that could be done with technology. If you can make it into our solar system, we are so we're so disadvantaged.
So there's no competition. There's no trying to subdue them. There's no trying to. There's whatever level of them contacting us.
We could barely attack each other. We could barely attack Russia or China. China could barely attack us. What can we do against an alien species that can actually make it into our solar system?
Right, but that's not the topic. The topic is they know better than to let the world fucking know.
Yeah.
Because all kind of craziness would occur.
Chaos. And it's not organized chaos.
And that's just it. So here we are, fast forward, even though we've had so many claims and video and picture and this and that, you can say, oh, but the picture was pixelated and that might have been edited. And blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Our own government today, July 24th, finally said, hey, man, yeah, we have recovered some vehicles that are not from this planet in the past that we would consider UFOs. That's just the beginning, brother.
I don't even want to argue that with you. I want to explore that. I want to go home and I want to fucking read all about that. But
yeah,
you know what?
It's going to be a little
it doesn't
bit
end
there.
There. It's not just like reality now. Like I was actually watching it. It's just a tip.
Just a tip.
There's I was literally, excuse me guys, because this is, you know, I'm gonna express myself later about my business and all that stuff. But I was taking a shit earlier, bro, and I was reading Facebook and like an article popped up.
First time on the podcast, somebody talks about taking a shit. Yeah.
Does anybody else not go on social media when they're in the bathroom?
The whole world.
That's where that's my me time to read.
I don't think there's a person who takes a shit and doesn't check their phone.
Do you take calls in the bathroom? That's weird, right?
No. While shitting?
Yeah, no, right? With the ventilator on and shit. Like,
it had to be a specific individual, but it rarely happens. I have. I don't want to lie.
But I read a lot.
Okay.
And I saw something about there's like this island and it's in the Pacific, and it just doesn't make sense how long the structures have been there with carbon dating and like the detail in them. So think about it. Like the furthest back that we go is the Egyptians, or maybe like, you know, civilizations before them and all that
Sumerians
and stuff. But bro, been around. The Earth has had different stages, you know, and of course up to like a couple 100 million years ago it wasn't habitable, and then the dinosaurs exist and all that stuff. But like, fuck, man. There's not an explanation for a lot of shit, and we really can't carbon date a lot of stuff. And like, we don't know what civilizations existed or how those civilizations became, you know? So like we either result to evolution or result to theory. And at the end of the day, man, I just hope that regardless of the outcome, that we can get to a fucking place where Homo sapiens, our species now, right? Homo sapiens can just live forever. You know, we're not going to get there. And unfortunately, bro, I love you, brother. And we're going to expire. You know, but hopefully, like our great grandchildren, that generation has technology that just lets them fucking prolong their existence. You know, because at the end of the day, back to the very basic argument that we had at the beginning, we are skin and bones. Okay, and you're not. If you believe in a higher being, then you believe in the soul. But if you believe in science, then your brain functions in a certain capacity and it triggers certain fucking electrons and neutrons within your own body. Mm-hmm. And therefore you're able to think and compute information, right? But we haven't been able to prove that the soul goes on or reincarnation and stuff like that. So I hope that we get to a point where Elon Musk is already developing Neuralink, where he says that if we continue with that, with technology, artificial intelligence will get to the point where we will be dominated and we will be a slave species, right? So he's trying to put just a little chip, just so at this level of AI technology, he's saying that at the most basic level, being able to compete with AI, I want to put a chip in your mind that gets you to your phone, so that you don't have to go through the function of reading, pointing, typing, doing. You know what I'm saying? It's literally just I can gather that information so you can keep up with AI. Imagine what's going to be like 1,000 years from now. I hope that our species can develop the technology necessary for us to prolong our life in this skin and with organs and you know, bodily fluids and muscular, you know, just it's weird that I say that, but our civilization as Homo sapiens, or our species, didn't live for 100 years before. It lived for 40 years. There was a time where it lived for less than, you know, 2 decades. And we got into the point where we're prolonging our lives to 100 years. I want to see it get to the point where it's indefinite.
Watch this real quick. And then after this, you know, I wanna ask you about when you started developing these type of thoughts, and was it the military, or was it coming back? Or we'll get into that. But people listening right now, I'm sure, jumping the gun, if you want to call it that. If you have any kind of religious, you know, attachments of any sort, and you're hearing what we're talking about right now, I'm gonna again jump the gun and assume that there's a certain comfort zone in people who have a religious belief, and they hear this and they're like, man, not me. I know I'm going to a heaven. God, it must be so difficult to sit there and think, what the fuck is gonna happen when you die? Like, wow, that's a crazy thing. What's gonna happen? What's gonna, you know, versus, you know, if you got a God in your life, you know, if you really believe, if you have faith, then you're at ease, you know, with what's gonna happen, because you know this and you know that and whatever. And I find that ironically, you know, disturbing, because I feel like
people would be willing to give their lives up for a better future, and it's
well, no. What I'm saying is, because people would choose to believe a certain concept in order to establish a certain amount of comfort in the acceptance of death.
And that goes.
You understand how hard it is to accept death?
Do you understand? Death? Do you understand how hard it is to
As a
accept?
military person?
Do you understand? I'm going to tell you something, man. You asked me before the podcast not to get emotional or to like take this to, you know, a level where I'm going to get down. Now, I'm not going to get down, but I want to ask you this, and I want everybody that's watching or listening to this to really consider something that they see in the news, but they don't really fucking focus on. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Probably under the belief that it is better. Things will be better, or the results will come from them ending their lives. Right? That's not an institutional thing. That's an indoctrinational thing. Like that's a thing that happens based on your belief of where you stand in this paradigm that we live in as a society. But do you really believe that taking your own life will make any situation better?
What's up, folks? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective, Season 2. If this happens to be your first time watching or listening, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode. Once again, thank you everyone out there for all the support. And a big shout out to Infused Wellness. During these difficult and weird times, especially while trying to balance my responsibilities in life, I just was not able to focus on keeping my body as healthy and energized as I wanted it to be. And I'm sure many of you out there go through the same tough times while trying to deal with what life throws at you as well. So I reached out to my man Alex at Infused Wellness. They provide hormone optimization, custom vitamin IV therapy, peptide therapies, weight management, anti-aging medicine, hair restoration, skincare and aesthetics, and yes, folks, sexual functions. So listen, they customize programs tailored to each individual's needs, and the results are guaranteed. Alex and everybody out there working for Infused Wellness, thank you for helping me get by these rough times and making me feel the way I've always wanted to feel. Now let's get back to the podcast. So, I mean, Alex, look, what I'm more importantly, though, what I'm getting at is this. You know, it just bugs me that the majority of the world is so heavily influenced by things that keep us off the track of continuously evolving,
progressing. We regress.
We regret.
Either regress or stay where, you know, we stay the
course.
Through
politics, certain religions, or even all religions. I don't know. I don't want to, you know, blasphemize or talk shit about anybody's religion. But in other words, something throws us off the track of what we know really got us here.
Right.
And hey, man, the more accepted we are of bro, we're continuously evolving, and now we might have to accept a new concept. Forget about alien talk. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I love aliens. We can talk about that all day.
Yeah, we got into it because we like that shit. But
yeah,
at the same time, like, bro, that's
also
like,
very realistic.
That's eons away from reality.
But and it's definitely not going to entertain the masses because the masses are going to be like, yo, what are y'all talking? All right, motherfuckers, stay tuned. Get ready. It's going to hit everybody in the face. But my question to you, though, here's something that I was thinking about throughout this whole, conversation. You went in very early. You went in at 17. Super young to go in. Your whole adolescent, your prime years, your development stage, everything happened within that phase from 17 to 30.
28 at the time.
28. You're 31 right now, but when you came out, 28. Okay. Massive amount of time, 11 years. Coming back, that's a big deal. Coming back. There's a lot of levels that you went through with everything that occurred. And I know we didn't, we can only do a podcast for so long. And I would love to have you back. We'll do this again for sure. But there's so many things that you've went through that I know a little bit about. We're not talking about it. There's so many things that I know you went through that I don't know shit about. Regardless, you put all this time in. That has a certain toll, certain effect. That is, especially throughout those years. I went to prison when I was just turned 20. I got out when I just turned 25. You can't fucking tell me that.
You can't take those years back.
And not only that, but
you become somebody, right?
No matter what.
That's the character you are.
Now, as going into 25, 26, 27, out here in the civilian world, I need to try to adjust, modify, whatever.
And that's not as easy as it sounds, right?
That was the most difficult thing. Yeah. In the future, when I tell
get a job,
when I tell my story to everybody, they'll know that was one of the toughest parts. As hard as prison was, as hard as the military was, readjusting to civilian life, to coming home, to this, to that. Yours was different. Your adjustments were different from mine, but readjusting, that was the most difficult part. I know that that's one of the biggest topics when it comes to veterans, when it comes to anybody who's been in the military, when it comes to anybody who's been through a traumatic situation.
Yeah.
The PTSD. I want to help people out there who are listening. I want to help people out there who are listening. Give us a little bit of take on that adjustment process of when you got back. Everybody's story is different, regardless of what they went through. Give us a little bit about that adjustment process of when you got back, whether positive or negative, and tell us a little bit about what you think, because I know there's so many, tough topics. What do you think could be done to be better? Where do you think that, that the government, or not just the government, because sometimes the government, hey man, we got you here. We taught you what we did. We promise you that we'll get you that. Maybe it's not the government. Maybe it's society. Maybe it's people listening. Hey man, when you fucking come across a veteran, I don't care how young he looks. Take us through that and what you think should be done and what you went through personally.
So first and foremost, I'm a realist. At the end of the day, no matter what I believe or anything, I always use reality as an example, right? So I owe everything, the way I carry myself, the way I speak, right? Because I used to have a very strong Hispanic accent coming from Miami, right? The way I articulate myself, the way I carry myself, my beliefs, in my profession, everything stems from my experience in the military.
Okay.
If you don't understand that, it's because you don't understand the science behind an adolescent mind going into a world where they develop what right looks like, and then that carries on for a prolonged period of time. If you don't understand the science of the human brain, where I have had soldiers that served under me when I was 19, when I was 20 years old in Korea, right? And I had a 41-year-old that was my subordinate. And this is probably the smartest human I've ever met when it comes to intellect about technology. However, he was not the greatest soldier, right? Because at the end of the day, accomplished the mission, right? Physically and mentally tough. He wasn't physically there. You have to understand that my mentality stems from what I learned working for the empire, right? America is the empire, and I swallowed that pill from day one. And you have to do that. If you're going to involve yourself into a diet program or into a philosophical program or to a mental health or anything, you have to swallow the pill from day one.
Yeah,
if you don't,
you can't do it attempting to cut corners.
Yeah, you're paying for shit.
Yeah.
If you don't actually swallow the pill, that's a problem. And even in my military career, I swallowed the pill, and people criticize me for it. My counterparts, my teammates, literally, I was a team sergeant. The other team sergeants within the company would tell me, like, hey, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. You have to. If you're trying to do something to better yourself and you believe that the method into bettering yourself,
you believe in the process.
You believe in the process. Swallow the fucking pill.
And then you give it your all out.
And so I did that inadvertently at 17 years old. I joined the military, and from day one, I was yes sir, no sir. Yes ma'am, no ma'am. I was very respectful. I was very disciplined. If you're on time, you're late. So I would show up to places 5 minutes. Listen, coming home on vacation and going to just like random ass fucking bar outings or dinners or family outings with my wife. And we would get into like heated, out of this world arguments because I'm like, hey, why the fuck are you like taking so long to get ready? We're 8 minutes away from having to be where we have to be. Oh my God, Ale, just keep in mind, it's my family. Nobody's going to be there. We have to be there on time. 100% of the time, we're the only idiots there, right?
Right.
And so I live in a different world. I live in a world where it makes sense to just do what the fuck is on paper, right? Like if you put 7 o'clock as the time to be somewhere, just fucking be there because it makes sense to spend the listen. And
bro, funny side point. I'm still to this day. Anybody who knows me and invites me anywhere, I'm probably the first one there, if not second. I'm helping set up still. Yeah, that's me, man.
Listen, bro. So you develop these things, and like you start becoming. It's not indoctrination. It's not a mind control system. It's just it fucking works. Why go against what works, right? Like why put out an itinerary that you're gonna pay $600 for somebody to put a fucking itinerary together for a wedding, right? To prepare people, because we do that in Miami, right? We have Miami time. Am I right?
It's horrible, but yes,
right.
we do.
So we had a wedding in November, right? And we said, hey, check it out. Everybody, this is the time. We did it 30 minutes early, knowing that people were going to be late. What the fuck, bro?
Stupid.
And so, bro, those are some of the things that you don't incorporate into the logic of why people are struggling to make it. Coming back from the military.
Now, do they tell you these little fucking, it seems so petty, but do they tell you, and I'm not asking you to blast on them, but keep it 100.
They touch on it, man. Listen, they do it.
You told me there was a when we had lunch that day, you told me there was a correct
program.
Me if I'm wrong. Yeah, a 2-3 week.
Yeah.
Get you ready back.
I wish I remembered exactly how long it was, but
okay.
So it's different for like each branch, but it's the same concept, right? So for the Army, it was Soldier for Life Transition Assisted Program. So it's called SFL TAP. You can't
bucket. You have to do it.
You can't actually, you have to check that block. It's one of those things that okay, you want a concealed weapons license. You have to have no felonies on your fingerprints. Check both blocks. You're good, right? You cannot leave the military. You can't separate from the Army without completing that because the government has realized that people who don't have any knowledge of what to expect in the civilian sector are failure. They will fail. They'll become homeless. They'll commit in whatever capacity. And you know what, man? My brothers and sisters who served, the hundreds of thousands of and millions of people who I don't even know. I'm sorry, I don't mean to actually insult anybody, but it is fucking tough, man, to come back from the Army expecting results, right? So the military, in my opinion, does a job in managing not necessarily the immediate expectations of what to expect when you come out, but at least expect enough of yourself.
Okay.
Right? So when I say that, I was a senior NCO, so I was a sergeant first class. I was an E7. From E1 to E6, your unit, right, all the way up to the battalion level, which is your unit, the commanders or sergeants major at that level, they decide if you get promoted. They give you points. You go through different types of board systems where you present yourself in front of them and you show them your knowledge of fucking military history and logic and when it comes to war fighting activities and stuff. But when you get to 7, 8, and 9, which are, there's only 9 enlisted ranks, or the commission ranks, even when it comes to the general grade officers or stuff like that, it's not as subjective where like, you know, somebody's opinion of you as a leader or your potential matters. It's more about like, are you really ready to take on this role? And I made it to the 7th rank. So that means that nobody knew who the fuck I really was when I got promoted to sergeant first class. They just saw my accomplishments on paper and they said, damn, that's a bad motherfucker. So that was my resume, right? So what the military does, you know, right before you're about to separate and become a civilian is they prepare you. And they say, this is how you write your resume, right?
Okay.
So they separate all of the lower enlisted from the executive level, which is sergeant's first class through sergeant major, and then, you know, captains or majors and above and all that stuff. People are about to get out of the Army, and they say, listen, you made it to sergeant first class. You're supposed to accept this type of pay. I held myself to a much higher regard just because of Miami. You know, Miami's inflated as fuck. But you are at the executive level.
In your mind, you should be getting paid a certain amount.
Regardless of what realm you go into, like you can enable a management, any small business, corporate level, anything. Like with your knowledge of leadership and how to actually organize teams, how to identify factors that are slowing or progressing business, you know, any type of level, any type of manufacturing, any type of sales or anything like that. At the level that you're at right now, those intricacies don't matter. It's your ability to organize groups, create different sections, you know, where it's human resources, logistics, sales, and all that stuff, and be able to manage them to meet the goal. Right. And man, I thought the military did that really well. They heightened my expectations for what I actually accomplished. Quantifiable data, right? So I was promoted based on potential, but at the same time, I couldn't have gotten to where I got without checking so many blocks that actually got me there. So I was physically fit, right? I was professionally accountable for every one of my actions.
This is building your confidence for a great resume.
I took my own time to build my education. The military takes education very seriously, not just military education, but regular education. Okay. I did the things that would get me promoted in the military so I could be recognized as a leader amongst the U.S. government. So here I am in this, 2-week, 3-week seminar of different lecturers from different corporations. So it's not necessarily only DOD civilians who are coming to tell you, like, this is how you write a resume. If you don't write it like this, you're not going to get in the door, which is the interview. The resume doesn't get you the job. It gets you the interview. It's on you to articulate how you can enable that company. Right. When a company asks you why do you want to come work here, it's not, oh, well, I heard you motherfuckers give a great 401k fucking match. No, it's, listen, I want to come work here because if you put me on this team, I'm going to take this team to this fucking level, and that team's going to strive, and you're going to strive. Like, that's, the resume gets you in the door, the interview gets you the job, right? That's what they taught me. And so at the executive level, as a sergeant first class, separating from the Army, I expected that coming to Miami. Well, Miami is very diverse. And I would have experienced a whole different situation had I gone somewhere with less corporate entities, less organizations, that, small business and stuff like that. But I came to Miami. So I was expecting my non-taxed salary was anywhere between 80 and 100, right? I come to Miami and I'm expecting that. Something non-tax, like the offers I'm going to get are that. No, man. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, and that was a problem. And I know people care. People respect the fact that you were in the Army or the military. People respect the discipline, the yes sir, no sir. You're going to do what you're asked to do. You're going to grow through the ranks, but that's not something that I was expecting. Like, I had already grown through ranks, right? I was 17. At 28 years old, when I come into Miami as a fucking professional, and I'm asking you to interview me for a job, I'm expecting that $70,000, $80,000 fucking offer, right? Mm-hmm. No, man, I got offered $18 an hour. Thank you for your service.
This became a common trend.
Yeah, very common. I even took some, before I even left,
Were there specific careers that you were aiming for when you got out? I mean, I'm going to
No, it's not in a narrow-minded sense. Yeah.
Well, but I'm saying as a typical, as a typical moron, I'm going to think that people coming back from the service, depending on what specialty they had, most of them are going to go for something law enforcement like.
So what I did, I'm going to be honest, all right? And there's a lot of people who are going to hear this and see this that I used to work with that knew how passionate I was about what I wanted to do coming out of the military, right? So part of that was I had a concept called tentara, which is coincidentally the Indonesian word for soldier, right?
Okay.
I wanted to train, right? I wanted to capitalize off my knowledge and my network of professionals to train units in the Army or the Navy, or in the military, in the U.S. Armed Forces that I knew contracted their training out. Does that make sense?
Like subcontract.
Yeah. So the Army contracts, or the military contracts certain organizations to come and put them through stressful situations.
Yes, totally understand.
Where they put them through the crawl, walk, run. So like you train them, you tell them what to expect, and then you put them through it.
Okay.
I wanted to do that. I set my
as an entrepreneur, you want to start your own business that does that.
I love that. So as an entrepreneur, I didn't incorporate the financial aspect of doing that, and so that failed. So my passion was there, right? My network was there. My resources were there, and my access.
Doesn't seem like a big financial investment for something like that.
It is, man. You have to think about salaries. You have to think about space, weapon systems, fucking time. Everything is important. So
without hearing the blueprints.
Where I failed was I wanted to become an entrepreneur, and I didn't have knowledge of building a business. But at the same time, I was a sergeant first class, and I was very, very well, awarded, and I had all these accolades and all this stuff. And when I fucking snapped out of it, I was like, all right, I'm not going to be a millionaire overnight. I went and started applying for jobs, and my best offer was $18 an hour. So now I'm taking half of my last year in the military salary. I'm taking half of that just to accept the job, and my ego became a problem. So you have to understand, it's not simply enough to say, oh, expect better. All right? There's a human aspect. Humans don't feel like they're being used to their full capacity or being compensated for their what they provide to corporate America, and we become insulted by it, right? We default on that because we're not making as much money as we used to. We resort to those happy mediums, those instantaneous self-gratification, drugs.
I was gonna say, I didn't know if you were talking about that. I was gonna say that.
So vices, right? And in my case, man, I was so egotistic coming out of the military. I was so ready to take on the world. I felt like I had enough of a resume. I didn't see the military only as a patriotic fucking experience. I saw it as an experience to like show the fucking world that I'm gonna fucking take over, right? It didn't work out like that. They were like, hey, thank you for your service. So I have like this running joke with some of my friends, like, hey, you're welcome for my service. Because it doesn't make any fucking sense why you would take somebody who will break their fucking back, right? And do whatever the fuck it takes for the organization to succeed just for their own self-gratification or their own promotion. And I wasn't seeing that. And that's not what I experienced coming out, and it became
So is that the military's fault for not admitting that somewhat?
They could do a better job at letting you know.
Like they could. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. Like they could tell you, hey, you have the ability to go out there and conquer the world. You have we taught you all the tools needed to be the most alpha-less alpha male, to be a president, to be this, to be that.
Play the game better.
But the rest of the world isn't military. No. We're a small portion of the world. Right. So they're going to try to give you the best they can, and then you're going to feel insulted.
Let me ask you something.
And maybe you shouldn't. And did they tell you that, or you feel like, nah, that's where they didn't keep it real enough?
They kept it,
or they omitted. They omitted.
Looking back at it, it wasn't omitted. I think, honestly, real talk, man. Like looking back at it, I think they gave us enough warnings, man. I just wish they would have been more fucking like pressing about it, right? All right, let me ask you something. You see a firefighter right now putting out a fire. You just see like bright yellow stripes, right? And like a firefighter suit and all that stuff, right?
Okay, yeah.
Within that team trying to put out that fire, there's hierarchy. There's somebody who is the lowest level on the totem pole and somebody who's in charge, right?
Shout out to Danny Collazo, chief chief fireman over here in West Palm Beach. He was at on the podcast just before you.
Amazing, man.
Taught me a lot about that stuff.
I honestly think that we live in a world right now where like people respect the emergency management services and all that stuff, but like they don't give them enough credit for like the shit they have to fucking deal with media and fucking politics and all that.
Right. Okay.
Regardless, you see a soldier, right? Do you like real talk? If I told you right now, Master Chief in the Navy or in the Coast Guard, if I told you Sergeant First Class, like what the fuck does that mean to you? Nothing, right? Like you're just
only because I know
it sounds important, right?
Yeah, I know a little bit more, but yeah, for the most part, 95% of the world's gonna be like, all right, cool. You were a little bit more special.
Yeah,
okay.
You have no fucking idea. You don't know what the fuck people go through to make Sergeant First Class. And I hope that the veterans listening to this respect the fuck that I'm putting it out there for everybody to listen to. If you're going to make it into a realm where you didn't have to check a block or on a point-based system to get promoted, and you were promoted subjectively based on your fucking potential, and then you come into fucking corporate America and they say, thank you for your service, here's your $18 an hour job. $18 an hour, I'm going to tell you what, I respect the fuck out of people who make $18 an hour. That's a great salary.
Yeah, that's that. By the way, that's a lot for a lot of people.
That's a good wage.
Yeah.
All right? However, the amount of fucking money that I can make you just based on my leadership experience as a Sergeant First Class, right? The people who got promoted there to Sergeant First Class and above, they know it. And I hope that the veterans that are actually active right now, who don't get it yet, respect it enough to understand that the world owes you more than you owe them, right? Nobody sees that gap of professionalism, of understanding, of how to manage an organization, providing that purpose, motivation, and direction. Do you understand how hard it would be right now for my branch manager as a mortgage loan officer to get all of the wage earners to show up to work at 8:30 in the morning? There's going to be some that show up at 8:15, and there's going to be some that show up at 9 o'clock. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
You don't fucking do that in the Army.
Right.
You do that, and smoke, Sergeant First Class, is going to fuck your world up. You develop a sense of respect, right? As a Sergeant First Class, you expect that respect. So when I came home, I wanted the world, right? And I thought the world owed me everything, and I was wrong. And it was my own ego, my own insecurities, my own perspective.
But is this the most common trait that follows with military people who come home? They feel a little bit old.
I can't speak for all of them, but from my experience, so remember earlier when I talked about my mentors and how much I love them and how much I owe to them? I see some of my mentors that retired and have a retirement income, right? After 20 years in service, plus whatever disabilities they have from their knees being banged the fuck up because they were parachutists, right? First of all, America, parachuting from a fucking aircraft is not like you see in the movies. It's not a fucking pillow every time, all right?
Yeah.
It fucking hurts.
Right.
All right? You
blow your knees out.
Yeah, you blow your fucking knees out, all right?
Yeah.
These dudes are paralyzed. They're not paralyzed. They're disabled. They have pains after 20 years of ruck marches, of parachuting, of waking up at 4:30 in the morning to be at physical fitness formation, to then work from 9 to 4. Hey, listen, it takes a toll. There is post-traumatic stress. Post-traumatic stress is not only combat related. If you have ever been assaulted, if you ever had an argument that just fucking triggered you in a position, if you're triggered in any capacity, that's a significant emotional event. And you have some sort of post-traumatic stress. These men and women that serve 20, 25, 30 years, I see them having to find a way to make money. They have the federal government giving them retirement and disability benefits, and it's still not enough. And so what do you think that says about a young Sergeant First Class? Thank you for your service. My first job was $18 an hour. The place that I am in right now is due to my own self-destruction, right? Of trying to give myself some sort of like happiness, some emotional, like physical happiness over my failures of fucking separating. I should have never left in my mind financially. And then I come home and I get these badass jobs. Anybody would be so grateful for the jobs that I had. You know, my first sales position as a impact window and door salesman, I was making more money than I was making as $18 an hour as somebody's assistant, where I was like, fuck, I was a fucking soldier. I'll do anything for $8, you know, $18 an hour for $8, for 8 hours a day. I'll do anything. Dog, when I became a salesman, I was going to make commission. I was like, bro, I'll take over the fucking world. My passion made me work those 14, 15 hours. I just didn't see the volume, right? So then I went to become the sales manager at one of the Miami's top fucking companies for impact windows and doors, and I fucked it up because then I got my ego of I'm supposed to be in charge. And everybody needs to fucking listen to me, right? Because that's what's in my head. He made me the manager. Why are you not at work on time? All these things, they hindered my ability to provide what I started. Purpose, motivation, and direction. I failed myself by not being prepared enough to acknowledge the fact that thank you for your service doesn't mean thank you for your experience. You know, like
allow me to cut you off real quick. This is a common thread, right? This type of conversation that we're having and what you're stating is very common amongst military people. Why do you think? Because this is what causes, not me, but this is what causes others to be, start second guessing and talking all kind of stupid shit about the military. By now they know, hey man, set up a more realistic program to allow these veterans to get back into the civilian life with better expectations. Tell them that they're lucky if they get offered an $18 an hour job. Tell them that even if
build your way up from there, because it won't take you long. If you hold these disciplines, you'll be fine.
Well, exactly. Whatever it is, make a program better than what's established, because you either have the youths who are you're really not dropping bombs on them. You're just kind of saying what it is in a nice
honorable discharge.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, you know what? You earned it. Here's your $18. But then you have the guys that are overachievers who are on the same level, right?
Well, I mean, you just have some sour babies who are, What I'm saying is, you're presenting this argument in probably the most cordial, cool, chill ass way on the podcast right now. But I've met many soldiers, many veterans, who are beyond pissed off, and they couldn't express this anything else except with pain or whatever. So what I'm getting to is, by now they know better.
Who's they?
Well, I mean the military, the government.
Well, who the fuck is they?
Yeah, but by now they know better, because you guys are having these type of podcasts and speaking up enough where they should change the system. What's up, crazy world? You got to be a little loose upstairs if you're following us. But if you're not following us, what the hell are you waiting for? Listen, go ahead, stop what you're doing, pause. You can come right back to this. I want you to subscribe, go to YouTube. I want you to go to iTunes. I want you to go to SoundCloud. I want you to just find any platform that we're on. Follow, listen, show your love and support. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Let's get back to the podcast.
So if I had to say something, right, to either, people considering joining the military, veterans who are considering getting out, senior leaders and stuff like that, you need to manage your expectations well. Right, because if you go in,
great way of putting it.
Yeah, if you go in at a young enough age and like all you know is the Army, the world doesn't run in the same capacity as the military does, where like you get promoted based on time in service and time in grade and your potential, and like it's all fucking like really, really structured. Like the civilian world is completely fucking unstructured. Just manage that. You're not gonna start somewhere that you want to be, but you're going to progress a lot faster than your peers and your counterparts because of the discipline, your professionalism, your knowledge, and all that stuff. All right, where I failed, was where I thought that I should have left, where I should have taken off where I left off and stuff like that, and I resulted to a lot of negatives in life. So I resulted to vices that had people that I really respected. That was the biggest thing for me separating, and I can assure you that a lot of veterans struggle with this, right? I resulted to becoming a personality that the people who I respected most in my life didn't respect. And the reason that I became that person is because I needed those vices just to keep me tamed, okay? I'm not going to elaborate on that. The people who know that what that means, you know, they know what it means. And the people who aren't fucking trying to overthink it, they fucking know, okay?
Right.
All right, I went to drugs and alcohol, bro, and it became a thing. And here I am. I'm fucking killing it. You know who I'm killing it for? I'm killing it for the people who saw me when I was at my best, right? They saw me go through it at my worst. And those people that gave me a chance and they helped me out and they lent me money, the people who gave me a job, the people who threw a fucking bone at me, I'm doing it for them. Because at this day and age, I have two branch managers. They cooperate, one as an operations manager, one as a production manager. They still say to me, like, why are you what are you, the fucking, the generous angel lender? Because I give my commission away for people to buy a house, right? Because for me, it's about was I capable as a fucking species, like as an individual, of handling all this business, all this stress, all this work and all this stuff. I do care about that person getting the house, right? I understand their situation. I rationalize the logistics, their financial aspects of their life. And at the end of the day, if I have to give away 99% of my commission to make the deal work, at least I will feel like I am in the same place I was before, at the top of the fucking totem pole, right? Because I covered that deal. Somebody got a fucking house. Somebody was able to realize their fucking dream because of my discipline, my dedication, my professionalism, my humility. And on another spectrum, you can't beat me. I will produce more volume, right? Which volume, you know, in a business sense,
yes,
is important when it comes to hierarchy. Whatever you're enabled with, your corporation gives you different assets to your disposal. So not only do I give 3 fucks if I give this person a 2.875 loan, right, that I gave half of my commission, 3/4 of my commission to, because I'm not going to be able to refinance that 3 years from now and get that continued business. I don't care. Somebody's able to have their own fucking home. That's self-gratification, right? And on the other end, all of you who doubted me, why are you talking shit? Oh, he gives away half his commission. Are you producing as much as I am?
Right.
Are you on my fucking level? No. I'm putting out 12, 13, 14, 15 fucking loans a month right now, and that's child's play. Get ready for what's coming.
You definitely think that influence is from...
It comes from that. Because you know why? Because I went through the slump, right? I learned real quick what's important. Values. And so, man, what's a fucking cliche, right? Like, values are important, and everybody hears it. It's important. If you value what it is that you're doing for society, right? You're getting these low-income families into a fucking nice-ass crib in a fucking position where they can afford it. I pay for people to fix their credit just to be able to get the loan for their home, right? And I make less money. And that gives me a sense of security, and like I'm doing the right thing. So like now I'm a good man in my own heart. I'm agnostic as well. I'm non-denominational, right? But like my own moral values tell me that what I did was a good thing, regardless if this person was lying to me about how much money they have saved away, how much cash they have. They're fucked up their own credit because they didn't pay their bills, but at the end of the day they could have. I don't give a fuck. I got you a house, bro. I love you, man. Thank you for giving me the chance. I made $1. Which is more than no dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And then the dudes on this spectrum, right? Oh, the top producers. What level do you see yourself at as a fucking loan officer? Because everybody knows that loan officers are fucking liars. And this. Shut the fuck up. Did you produce as much as me this month? In this fucking environment that we live in, where rates are so low, every bank in the nation is fucking backlogged. And everybody is bottlenecked into these slow ass closings and stuff like that.
Right.
Are you still providing 8, 9, 10 families who couldn't
right,
buy a home before they met you? You helped them fix their credit. You gave them money to pay for the fucking closing costs. Did you do that? Shut your fucking mouth. Okay? Because I'm here to help and to grow. And that's what the brand is about, bro. All right? What I learned in the Army, what I learned coming out of the Army, you know, and struggling and realizing that nobody is going to give you anything. You have to go out there and get it. The biggest lesson I've learned, because I always have prided myself as a smart guy, right? And if you're smart enough to realize that, like, other people's actions in distant places don't affect your life, then you're going to be okay if you just live your life as, to your own moral and ethical standards, which should coincide with like the mass. Right. You'll be okay. And the criticism that I'm facing now, it's not bad, but it's, he's producing a lot really fast. It's not about business. It's about me making myself feel special again. Not a lot of people see that. I came out of the Army as a senior non-commissioned officer. That means a lot, right? So my battalion commander didn't decide if I got promoted. The Army, think about the institution, right, decided that I was going to become a sergeant first class. These people who call me to do their loans and all that stuff, a lot of them don't qualify right away. A lot of them don't have the right credit. They don't have money. You know what I do? I say, check it out. I got so many fucking systems at my disposal that I can help. If you pay this, this, and this is going to be your credit score. I can do this loan for you. I'm going to give you some extra money from my commission so you can buy this house. Okay? Just tell your friends about me. All right? And then you have the people you work with saying,
you're giving away too much money.
Your friends and families are his loans. Yeah. Or he gives away his commission. How many loans you got? Did you go to Publix, Winn-Dixie, the grocery stores? Did you go somewhere?
So you think there's a caring aspect that comes out of you from?
It's a professionalism, bro. The thing the Army taught me the most is you have so much to give. You can figure anything out. If you just understand the fact that standardizing, organizing, and just doing the same thing in a way that is benefit, like you simplify stupidity to a fucking, not stupidity, like you simplify a problem. You
dumb shit down, right?
You dumb it down
right,
to just checking blocks. I don't have to make $1 million, bro. You get what I'm saying?
Of course I do.
I know we like jumped into a different paradigm, but like
no, I do.
People think that in these commission-based jobs, the goal is to make as much as possible, become as profitable as possible. I'd rather have 12 loans, 12 clients right now that are buying houses that they couldn't afford before they met me. That I got that I paid. I made great money off of each loan. If I paid for their credit to get fixed and gave them a little bit towards closing so they can afford that house, I made more money than not fucking helping them.
So I think what maybe you're somewhat failing to tell people is the military taught you through many different methods that don't put so much emphasis on a profit. Don't put so much emphasis on trying to get up on somebody. Instead, remember what you went through. Remember what you went through. Boot camp, shitty times, low rankings, whatever the fuck it was. Remember that.
Anything.
Remember that so that when you get out there, back into civilization. Yeah. So when you have the opportunity to bless somebody with an opportunity to progress at your your loss, then you do it, because that's what military people do. You're putting your lives on the line. They're putting their well-beings, their health, their whatever. They're putting that on the line so that others can prosper. That's what the military does in some shape or form, no matter what politics are involved. So for you to learn that, and now as a mortgage broker, you're able to do that. Remember, most of these mortgage brokers who are hating and talking shit and people that you're making fun of, they don't have a military background. They're looking at it for the dollar.
They want to work $2 or $3 a day and be on a yacht,
But not only that, they're looking at the dollar. They're not looking at I just helped a family out, and this makes me feel better, and I just made just a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. They're not looking at that. So this is another benefit that the military has done for you, and that's a great thing, because a lot of times it's difficult to put in that much time into the military like you have, come back to society, come back to the civilian life, go through the stresses of like, God damn, no one knows how to be punctual. No one knows how to say yes sir, no sir.
Nobody knows how to be fucking so disciplined as to like not buy a car, while you're buying a house, little things,
discipline in general.
And so listen, man, the reason I say that is because there are certain, and I learned this after going into mortgages, right? Because it took me like 2.5 years after my separation to like realize that, hey, if you really want to make money, like you're not going to do it at fucking Home Depot, right? Like
when you say separation, so people know you
from the military.
Okay.
Because I was making great money in the military as a senior non-commissioned officer. So I said, fuck, I'm going to be honest with everybody listening. The person who hired me, I begged him for the opportunity, right? And he told me, if you get your mortgage license, all right, you have a job. And he knew how hard that was, and I didn't. I was like, fuck, nigga, I'm going to go get my license. Hey, dog, for the first time in my life, I failed the test, right? That was because of my vices, the drugs I was doing, the alcohol. The night before my fucking federal test that I took to become a mortgage loan originator in the state of Florida, I didn't take it as seriously as when I walked into that room, they wanted me, and my computer station had a little fucking camera watching every move.
Make sure you're not cheating.
And on top of that, I failed the fucking test because I didn't know the answers. And so this guy gave me the opportunity to go back, and he paid for my test again because I didn't have any fucking money, because I was a fucking low-life piece of shit, right? That was so egotistic that I wouldn't ask for help, right? So I got my mortgage license on December 27th, 2019, right? And year to date, I think I've broken enough records because of my contribution to my clients, right? I haven't made as much money as the top producers in my company because I give away so much credit, right? But production numbers, I have so many fucking referral partners, so many business partners, so many clients that call me and just ask me how I'm doing, because you need to understand something. $1 is more than no dollars, and at the end of the day, you're making more than than some people are making at $18 an hour.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Put in the time, put in the effort, and give a fuck. Become a master of your trade. If you're doing something for commission, thinking that you could get by and not fucking know what the fuck you're selling, you are a part of the problem. The reason that I'm successful is because I know what I'm selling, and I know who qualifies for it and who doesn't, right? And I will be honest with a consumer that says, hey, listen up. Thank you for your service. I know you help veterans. I'm a veteran. I have bad credit. I said, you know what? I'm going to take care of your credit problem. And I'm going to help you buy down your interest rate, right? To the point where you're not going to be struggling to pay for this property. That's what I learned from my transition. It was tough. I went from making a lot of money to no fucking money. My credit went to shit. It took a long time to get there. I am very blessed to have a wife that took care of my emotional and financial state while I was in my fucking depressive fucking slump. And she carried me through my growth. The people who offered me an opportunity to get here are regretting, right? In a positive sense, right? Because everything you do, you have to think of it positive, negative. The people who gave me the opportunity to become a loan officer, because I was my best friend's assistant up until December 26th, right? They took a chance. And now they have to figure out how to hire more people because of the amount of money we're all making, because of my discipline, because of my generosity. I don't give a fuck who you are. You want to buy a house? All right? You can't afford it. If I make $5 off of this fucking transaction, I'm going to spend the next 45 days working towards you making this fucking, this dream come true. You know why? Because I know what it's like to suck. I know what it's like for my father to make $43,000 a year at his peak of 30 years working for a company, right? And his retirement check being $1,300 a month. He can't afford shit. Does that make sense? I know what it's like. And if I have the ability to help, if I'm making $1 above zero, then we're fucking getting there.
So look, so here's your ability to help, okay? So, you know, the podcast keeps growing. The viewers, the subscribers, everything keeps growing. Everything with time. You know, we spoke about that earlier before we even started the podcast. And I strongly feel, I think, you know, you said it yourself, you feel the same, you know, that this will be a huge platform in the future, you know, without a doubt.
I'm humbled to be on your podcast.
And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. I appreciate every guest that comes on.
I hope
really
that
do.
5 years down the line, you remember this podcast and say there are people out there who appreciate this more than
Of course. But this is why I'm getting to this, I guess, closing type question. Being that you've gone through everything you have, okay? You went in early. There's a huge part behind that you can tell to the youth. You went in early. You put in 11 years. That's a long time. Most of the times when you hear 10 or better, you're probably talking to somebody who's probably still in. They're probably on 15. They're probably on 20. They're probably talking about retiring.
And they haven't seen the suck.
Yeah. They probably seen the suck, but they just feel like it's worth it because everything sucks. You know, everybody's gonna just drink the cup of tea and have a different opinion on it. Yeah, different Kool-Aids, man. But you had your Kool-Aid. You had different cups of Kool-Aids. So you started 17. You put in 11 years. You did 2 deployments. You did a 5 and a 6, right? No, 4 and 6.
5 years as an artilleryman, 6 years as a special operations civil.
So you reacquaint yourself with society. You're
I
3.
failed.
Yeah. Well, you're 3 years in. First 2 years were rough. What we spoke about, first 2 years were rough, and like you just spoke about earlier, you had your vices for whatever reasons. We didn't go deep into those details. Not necessary. Could another time, without a doubt. But you found some vices, and it doesn't mean that it was your getaway, but you got hooked on them. You did what you did. Now here you are. Very successful, doing great. Sky's the limit. Great company. Own brand, all kind of just dopeness going on. You got a kid on the way, love the fucking shirt. Awesome wife who was there in the beginning, went through the rough patches, said, I'm sticking with this bullshit and we're gonna come out of it together. And you did, and now she's here, and you just spoke about her right now. So what do you tell in different tiers? What do you tell to the youth who are hearing this and they're thinking about joining the Army? What do you suggest to them? To those who are a little bit older, 20s, going into the Army, what do you tell them? And to those who are in the Army, or I'm sorry, not the Army, but just the military, and they're going to get out, what is your all-around general piece of advice from what you've been through to give to those listening, whether they're veterans themselves, older than you, your same age, earlier, or they're soon to be veterans because they're going to join the military no matter what? What do you tell them? What do you get from all this that life has thrown at you that you would suggest to them in order for them to prosper a little bit better with the decisions that they make?
So at all 3 tiers that you described, right? The youth joining, the early 20s to mid-20s joining, and then the people separating. I offer you my phone number, 305-761-0603. Please ask me your questions.
That's a first. I love that. Okay.
Please ask me your questions so that I can address them directly, because every individual has their own concerns, right? Something I put in every email. It's not even templated, right? I actually write it out. So I write out every one of my emails for business. I say, I remain available at your convenience, right? For everybody who is about to join, that is young. Everybody who's in their early to mid-20s is going to join, and everybody who's going to separate. 305-761-0603. Please hit me up. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Love it. Okay.
Right?
Awesome.
It is fucking amazing. And here we are, daddy as fuck, right? But it also sucks. And you have to fucking work your ass off. It doesn't stop. For those of you who are young, who haven't experienced the workforce, when you come out of this, you need to continuously expect more from your fucking peers when you do come out of it, and challenge them. My first fucking job, I accepted it because I thought it was going to be easy. Coming out of the Army as a sergeant first class in the special operations community, right? Not only that, but I was also like at the company level and the battalion level. So I was like operations at like the corporate level, what you would consider corporate, right? Mm-hmm. I worked for a guy. And there was this young kid that would come in a fucking nice-ass business suit with fucking Yeezys, and I didn't know what the fuck Yeezys were. And I would tell him, as an assistant, I would tell him, don't show up to this fucking office in sneakers again. If you're going to wear a suit, wear a fucking suit. All right? Hold your fucking ground. The things to the young ones and to the people joining now, learn to become a fucking professional. It doesn't matter what you wear, how you articulate yourself, but the disciplines that your audience expects from you are important, right? As a salesman, as a professional, you need to be able to speak articulately. And you need to be able to present yourself as a professional. To the men and women that are separating from the Army, I strongly urge you to please consider regrowth, right? Nobody is going to start you off where you left off unless you go into a direct job with any of the agencies that you work with, which is fine. That's hey, I wish I would have done that, but then you know what? I would have limited myself and I would have capped off.
Right.
Because I'm doing a lot better now than I would have been. But also expect to you're getting the opportunity. Don't look at it as a sign of disrespect. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody gets it.
Right.
All right? Nobody understands what you've been through. Those things that you do that nobody else does, they only make you better. Don't worry about them. Don't complain about it. Don't stress yourself out because people show up late. Because people don't wear the right shit, right? So if you're in the right place in the right time in the right uniform, then you're good, right? Just keep doing that. And if at any point you see yourself struggling, call me. And I'll have something for you, I will find something for you, or I will entertain it, or I will fucking reach out to my network and I will help you out. But don't ever give up and kill yourself. It's not okay. I'm not gonna do 22 push-ups to exemplify my feelings towards 22 veterans a day committing suicide, because some of my friends have committed suicide and I've had suicidal thoughts myself. And at the end of the day, that network that I told you about, my friend that gave me an opportunity to do this, mortgages, he didn't see this fucking coming. He's fucking worried right now about how much I'm producing without a team, without an assistant. He is oh, fuck, how do I keep up with him? My wife, who went through all of it with me since I was in 7th grade, her mom, right, who is one of the most educated human beings I know, who knows all of it, and doesn't judge me to my, just gives me that respect. Her stepdad, her family, my family, who dealt with my own anxiety and insecurities, they deal with it. If you are going through it right now, veteran or non-veteran, right, there's always a solution to the fucking problem.
Right.
Right? I'm not going to make you a millionaire overnight. I'm just going to give you the opportunity to succeed. And you do with that what you may.
And that's pretty much what the military does as well. They give you the ability to succeed in any scenario.
The most important discipline that I learned from the military is that if you're disciplined, right, you'll be successful. And you have to define your own success.
Right.
So my success is not necessarily to be a billionaire, but is, can I generate enough passive income, right? Enough assets and, investments where I don't have to work 15, 16 hours a day. But until then, I'm going to brag about the fact that I work 15, 16 hours a day, because I don't want anybody to think that the money that I make right now is undeserved. I want everybody to know that I fucking worked my ass off, because there's people out there that have money that don't deserve it, right? So I'm going to strive for excellence always. The people who I'm having conversations with about building teams with, they know what I expect from them. They know how much I'm willing to contribute to their success, and they know that it's not going to be fun or easy. But if you're passionate enough about something and it's not working out for you, if it's not me, reach out to somebody, right? Because letting it out alone alleviates about 90% of that stress. All right? And it's never enough. It's never powerful enough for you to have to sacrifice your own life just to fix a problem.
Right.
Because we see 22 suicides a day.
Yeah.
It does happen as veterans.
Truth be told, you're not fixing the problem. I don't care who's listening.
And nobody's sugarcoating
it. I don't sugarcoat shit.
It's hard.
Listen, so you're not hey, listen.
This shit costs fucking money.
Hey, suicide doesn't fix a problem.
It doesn't.
All you did was create more problems for other people. So I'm not trying to be inconsiderate to those going through things, but suicide's not the answer. And we're not going to leave off on that tip. So listen, Alex, you've been nothing but a great influence today, man. I love your story. I love the fact that you're successful right now. You went in at such an early age. That's old school. You don't hear about that too often. You hear about the early agers being people who are misguided, fucking up, so on and so forth. And you definitely don't hear about them putting that much time. You know, that's a whole different beast of a person to go in longer than 4 or two stints, 8 or more. To have done 11, that's a lot, dog. That's a lot. And to have done it in the position you've been on, that's even bigger. So I know I'm speaking for anybody out there listening, thank you again for your services, but more importantly, thank you for the guidance. Thank you for the wisdom that you're spitting to everybody out there listening right now. And for those of you guys, listening or watching, make sure you listen to what he just said. He gave you his phone number. If you guys want to reach out to him, please do. If you want to follow him and follow his journey and follow his, the business venture that he has going on, Instagram. What is your handle?
TMG_mortgages.
TMG_mortgages. Is that the only one you have? Yeah, no website.
That's my professional one. I think my personal Instagram is Alex Morlote. Just at Alex Morlote.
Okay, if you can remember the last name, what I was fucking up way earlier. This is huge, man. This is a big reach out to so many military men and women out there from all the topics that we covered. And again, you can always talk about this for days, for hours. It's real easy to do that. We covered so many topics that I think helps expose what really goes on in this process, what goes on while you're in, and more importantly, the difficulties of coming out. And it doesn't matter if you saw 10 people die while you were on deployment, or if you just put in 4 years, 2 years in your reserve and you come back. When you reach a certain level of discipline, those who don't exemplify it, it kind of throws you off. And that right there is an adaptation.
It's very hard.
So yeah, so when you go to the military branch and you put in, day out, so many days, so many years of discipline, to come back and adjust to those who don't, is difficult. And this is why we do the podcast, not just for anything military, but for people out there listening. We want you to know that there's people just like you. There's many black sheep out there. You're a black sheep. I'm a black sheep. There's many black sheep out there, and we're a unique species, and we're trying to reach out to everybody who wants to listen. Like, hey man, learn from our experiences that we do exist, and these occurrences do exist, and there's ways around it, and there's ways to make the best of it, like anything else in life.
Think differently.
Yeah, think differently and maintain discipline. To me, that's a big point right there. Maintain discipline, but what your discipline is, it all depends on what you've been through. But my brother, I really appreciate you coming to the podcast. I can't thank you enough for spitting so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and helping others out there adjust to society, helping others out there make that decision to go into the military, and helping those who are already in there, like, hey man, get ready. It's not that easy when you get out, but you can do it. We can all do it. We just got to take the right steps. So I can't tell you how much I love this fucking whiskey, dog. Thank you so much for coming, dog. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much. Can't wait to have you back on. Guys, give him a follow. Make sure you can stay tuned with the podcast. We got so many other podcast guests coming up. We got a lot of topics to cover. It's a big movement going on. 2020 is a fucking crazy time, and we just got so much more.
Guys. We got financial advisors coming your way to let you know how to deal with the repercussions of this pandemic.
There you go. So follow my dude. Stay in touch, and we're going to help everybody out there become a better version of them, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my brother. Love and peace to everybody out there, man. Take care. Salud.